Okay, well, ona go diwa hi gajoko, so but on see us nyarni. Gajita Rio Yujits Kawinuji on Dudget Square Star on Ata Haruni. Retinu wada do Gadunga Gario Gesum, yet the Sota Asatanka Garakwa, yet in a stazi Hunzagi on a Gueguscut Neganungwe. Retinu wada do sour year and it Kunduan Hetzerat Gawis, a Guades and E, Ganyat de Gerda than a Quego or Quadzade or Nuquasupa. Retinu wada do yet the Sota Gunhan there, though no the headstone a Ganigu or that you have a quay. Damdawi aron hetsera gazat stasera ne ganungwe. Damdawi aron hetsera gazat stasera ne asa niga dardige ne ganyaga haga. Radinyato ronata aruni dano riskeremoge. Dano damdawi adun gatsera aguego on a go or gayana dasera go in escana. Ori huio, gari what gori shunsera, dano gazat stasera. Damdawi Gayanda one and Gane Gurio. Damdawi aron Hetsera Gazat Stansera and Yorakwa. He thought the gun Yorakwa. Yet he sought to Asatanka Garakwa. Is that right? Think about this. Yeah. Yorakwa, yet he sought the gun Hamer. Yet he sought to Asatanka Garakwa, ne wis Zage. And as you know, that every time that we get together for a council meeting, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out Ahondagari Wadekwa first. This is the words that come before all else. It's where we identify and give thanks for the things within creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. And so we always begin by giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation. When you look up into the nighttime sky, you are not looking into cold, dark, empty, lifeless space the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother. And so we give thanks to her, to Sky Woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to Grandma Moon. It's she who regulates the flow of the life blood in all things. And so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to our Mother Earth, regardless of what color you are, what language you speak, where you've grown up from Mother Earth, or what you imagine divides us. The most important thing today, no matter what you imagine divides us, that makes you go to war and hate other people and to kill other people, regardless of these things, we all come from the same mother, making us all one family, sisters, brothers, all relations, all together. And so we give thanks to her, to Mother Earth, as it is she who has given us body. From there, we give our thanks to all the women, from the newest born baby girl to the eldest grandmother, as they carry the sacred title of life giver into the world and are to be honored and respected as such. We give thanks to them, for in this world, they give us purpose and direction. From there, we give our thanks to the spirit that binds all things together, from the furthest reaching roots of the trees that extract all the power, the energy from deep inside of our Mother Earth, to everything, all the knowns and unknowns, the internal functions of our Mother Earth. Just like within your body, there's things that you know and things that you're pretty certain of today that modern science tells you, well, this is what's happening in your body. But there are things happening in your body that modern science cannot identify, cannot even comprehend, cannot understand. And so we give thanks to the energy that's extracted from deep in our inside of our Mother Earth, up near the near the surface, near the roots and the shrubs, the trees, the animal life that's there above the trees, the bugs, the insects, the birds, off of our Mother Earth into our solar cell, into our galactic cell, and into the larger body of Sky Woman herself, the spirit that connects all things, that gives us life, that enables us to talk to each other, enables us to laugh and to enjoy each other's company. As opposed to what the insane white man is doing once again. Always at war. And his insanity brings the entire world this time to the brink of destruction. We may not be considering where we are in our daily lives, that this day that you're experiencing may be your last day, the way that you experience your freedoms or your perception of life. It may be your last day that you're going to be within that perception, within that understanding, and therefore within that appreciation. Because of, again, the insane white man, that he is ready to destroy the earth. As you know, this week you have heard that he identified that he is in his war in Iran, against Iran, that he is fighting his holy war. And so this is something only insane people would identify with. Only ridiculous religious people would identify with the holy war, and something they're fighting from over 2,000 years ago. So imagine today you're on the brink of complete and total annihilation due to a bunch of insane white people who are within their religious constructs bringing the world to the brink of destruction once again. And this isn't new to humanity. This is something that humanity experienced on this level back in World War II. No one was thinking, no one was believing that there would be such insanity as an atomic bomb. Well, this time the Jews are going to drop a nuclear bomb. They are going to use the nuclear bomb. There is no two ways about it. That's what they need to do to complete their manifestation of their holy war and whatever else those crazy people have in their heads, what's going to happen from their end times, their holy war, whatever. So we must keep in mind our origins and how we are all connected, how we are all one family. What is happening right now, when we give thanks to the body of our Mother Earth, you think of your own body. I give thanks to my body. So what's on your body? Well, or what does your body consist of? Well, there's a right arm, a left arm, left leg, right leg, and everything, whatever your internal organs are and all of that. Well, just imagine right now what is happening on that body is the left leg, the left arm is fighting against the right arm and the right leg, and they're all fighting against each other, and they're killing the body. This is why we identify that the white man is insane. Literally insane. Starting a war, starting such an act of destruction where there was no legitimacy to it, no threat to him. But the white man started this war on behalf of the Jews who have been illegally colonially placed within Palestine. And it is them completing a couple of thousand years crusades upon what they call the Holy Lands in their old world. And so you just see a constant insanity spanning thousands of years of always constantly just killing, murdering, raping. And as long as you're in that state, of course, the young males are just sacrificed. Your son, if you got a son, you sacrifice it. You send him away to go get killed. And you support it. Every religious person on earth supports that. They support sacrificing their sons. So when the white man talks about societies around the world that have sacrificed, it's a lie. No one has ever sacrificed except the white man. The religious people are the only ones, all of them sacrifice continuously. Ever since they were conceived, they sacrifice their own children. And that's because all of these so-called religions stem from one so-called event or whatever, what they call these three Abrahamic religions. They all stem from that guy who went out to the desert and killed his son. Of course, in their scriptures or whatever their beliefs, they say that no, he didn't kill his son. Of course he did. You've been killing your sons for thousands of years, following in the same footsteps. There's no way that anybody could say he didn't kill his son, because then if he didn't, then no one today in these insane religious wars could justify war. There's no way to justify killing. If they look at their birth of their religions stemming from that guy who went to the desert, and they say who didn't kill his son, then they cannot kill their sons. There is a fact. The fact that they are killing their sons means that the original one did in fact kill his son. And don't forget, according to these insane religious people, it was their God that told them to kill their sons. Sacrifice yourself. So we must remember who we are. The original peoples around Mother Earth must remember, and pull your heads out of the white man's rear end of their religious insanity so that you do not succumb to the same insanity. But like here in Ganawagi, there are so many who are following in the white man's insanity, who joins the white man's militaries, and the people in Ganawagi send their sons, they send their daughters now. Imagine that. How insane the Mohawks of Ganawagi are, that they even send their daughters into the military. These are collectively insane people. And so we must remember who we are, and the only way to do that is to continuously remain within your own individual Ahonda Gariwadekwa. It's only through your Ahonda Gariwadekwa that you will remember and cling on to your humanity. Otherwise, outside of that, the status quo of the white man's insanity will consume you. You will succumb to it, and you will be just as insane as him, and you will participate in his insanity. So we remind ourselves and we give our thanks to all the waters and all the medicines and all the shapes and forms they come in. And this is to remind ourselves that we are made of 100% water. Science today tells you that, well, you're like 73, 74% water, depends on who you're talking to. And on average, they say you're 3/4 water. Well, what else are you made up of? What's the other stuff? What's the other stuff? Is it bone? What's bone made out of? Where did bone come from? Bone came from the waters of your mother. And so it is your mother's waters that created you, just like all of us. Just as we identified, the waterverse has created everything that is throughout the waterverse, and it takes all of that out there and here to be able to give birth to us, for us to be created. So whatever in the white man's perception of their so-called science that is not water, well, they're just crazy. They're just stupid. They don't know. They have no clue of who or what they are, because they're locked within their religious stupidity. And so we remember and we give thanks to our ancestors who carried a good mind, and we ask them to help us to return our mothers back to their natural seat of authority within all of our nations, so they can manage all of our people properly once again. Not just for the Ganyangahaga, not just for the native people, but for all original peoples around Mother Earth, to free yourself of the white man's colonial insanity, which is his religions and all of the whole construct of the white man. That you free yourself of this so that you can return back to original instruction. Now, anyone on earth will be lost when they hear original instruction, because it is only the original peoples of Turtle Island that still carry this. No one else on earth carries original instruction any longer. They can say, oh, there's these people, that people, whatever, they found peace, whatever. It's a lie. It is a complete lie. Everything about the white man's world is a lie. It is all a false construct. They'll put a false, like a hologram in front of you to think, hey, look, there's a person right there. There's a mother right there. So you can go to your mother, and it's not, and it's to trick you to get within the confines of the white man's insanity. And so we ask our ancestors to help us to return every wampum within the great law of peace. The three universal clans, the true spirit of the three universal clans of the Ganyangahaga, back to all peoples of the turtle, wolf, and bear, what the non-native world knows as protons, neutrons, and electrons. They have got their foundation of the sacred three all out of whack, all out of order. And they got number 3 going first, and then number 1, and then number 2, so that they're all confuddled and they're all backwards. It's not that if you switched 1 and 3, 2 would still be in the same place. No, they switched them all. They switched 3 to 1. They switched 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, so that they're all confuddled, that they're all insane all together collectively, and never able to find their way out of the insanity that they placed themselves in under their stupid religions. And so we ask our ancestors to help us to return every wampum within the great law of peace back to the hearts and minds of the people, to return the true spirit of peace, power, and righteousness to the united people, to return the balanced mind leading to the good mind. And of course, I identified also to return the true spirit of the Iroquois, the Iroquois Confederacy. Not the terminology that they use today, Iroquois. That's the white man's reference to our terminology of Iroquois. And today people will say, oh, Iroquois, that it has something to do with the sun. Well, that's the short term for Iroquois, Yetisota Asatanka Iroquois. So this is the what it translates into, what it means is the people who follow the moon, the people who follow the heartbeat, the blood mover of our Mother Earth. And so this is how the Iroquois Confederacy are the only people on the earth who are matrilineal, who follow our mothers, who are still holding on to, adhering to original instruction. And you might think, well, anybody who calls themselves Iroquois, that's them. No, wait. Nope. There is no one left within that now, except for here in the Longhouse up the hill. There's no one left within that in Ganawagi and Akwesasne and Ganasadagi, Grand River, Onondaga. They are all ridiculous Haudenosaunees. That's what they all are. And what that is they're a creation of the white man, a construct through Joseph Brant, of him becoming a Freemason when they ushered him into Britain and made him a Freemason there. And when he came back, established the Masonic rules of the Grand Councils, which from the Grand Council in both Onondaga and Grand River, which they handed down to each nation except the Ganyangahaga. We are the only ones who have never accepted it. We are the only ones who have ever stayed within Guyana Dasadaskanagoa. Everyone else, all the these created people manufactured by the white man, are what they call Haudenosaunees. They're Christian Handsome Lake, which means they are no longer people of law. They are people of belief, religious belief. That's all they are. And a belief can never be substantiated. You believe what you want, and until you can substantiate it in the public arena, it's just your belief. Once it is established within the public arena, then it is fact. And once it is fact, then it is law. But this is where the Christian Handsome Lakers follow within the footsteps of their great white father into repentance, which undoes the purpose of law. As long as you have repentance, you can do anything you want. You can be as corrupted as, who's the prime example here, Ganawagi? Stephen McCumber was the prime example of bringing in Handsome Lake into Ganawagi. And look, he can do anything he wants. He can join the band system, the white man system, and still parade himself around as a supposed traditionalist. That's across whatever you cross, just like cross genders, trans. he's a trans, which in that mentality, you're moving from the male to the female, and you can just do your white dog ceremony, sacrifice your dog, put your prayers into your dog, and hope that that dog takes your prayers up to the Creator that's going to forgive you for your sins. Well, I'll tell you what, nobody's ever going to forgive Stephen McCumber, Kevin Deere, all the Christian handsome Lakers for their sins. No one will forgive them. And you might wonder why I am speaking like this now. Well, because, you know, if you've been with us, you know that I have been identifying that I've been speaking to a certain degree, but tonight I take it right to the limit now, because I happily identify to everybody that time is up now. Your time is up. Wherever you have placed yourself, that's it now. There is no switching sides or categorizations that you have done of yourself. There is no possibility of correction now. We are now at the point of no return. And so tonight, what we're going to start off with, I'm going to share with you something to give you a physical example of this, where how today everybody all of a sudden here in Kahnawake and all throughout the Five Nations Yorukwa Confederacy, that all of a sudden they're all calling themselves Haudenosaunees for some stupid reason. I don't know. I do know, but for me, from my understanding, from my position, how could you change from being right and proper and correct to being wrong, improper, and incorrect? How could you change that? How could you change to becoming less than what our ancestors have struggled for, conquered war, and then to rejoin that war? Well, these are all stupid people, just as stupid as the white man in their religions. Every Christian handsome Laker, everybody who calls themselves Haudenosaunees are all stupid people. Yes. So I'm going to share something with you. Am I able to share a something from my? Okay, yep. I'm going to give me a second here. I'm going to share an image with you. Where is it? There it is. How do I get this full size? Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Who's looking on here? Hello?
You don't hear us?
Oh, okay. I don't know what just happened. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Is the Zoom still there? How come I can't see the Zoom? Tell me, what are you seeing right now?
We're seeing a picture of looks like a cadre. It says Gayangahaga Yayak Niganage Serage. That's with looks like a medallion with hoops and an eagle.
Okay. The reason why I'm sharing this is because, as you know, that within our court case, I've been having to print a lot of documents, and we've been going to the library to print these documents. And I seen this picture there on the wall. I don't know, I don't know how many months ago now. Maybe it was even last year. And I asked about it, and they said this picture was donated by I think Linda Delormier. I'm not sure. I'm not certain. I know that it's one of the Delormiers that donated this to the library. And I asked, I says, do you know where she got it? She says it's an old picture that she had, an old painting from Louis Hall a long time ago. Okay, so you think of today, the divisions that have happened here in Ganawagi, the divisions that have happened throughout the Confederacy, all stem from Ganawagi. And everybody talks about that they, in these divisions, that they all place themselves within the warrior society because Louis Hall was their guru. You know, even to get their casinos, their super bingos, they utilize Louis Hall's statement that we've always had gambling, referring to the bowl game. And so this is just to show the stupidity of how everybody followed Louis Hall. You've got to be stupid to do that. But here is an example of the stupidity. Here is one of the early paintings or early whatever of Louis Hall. And does anybody see Haudenosaunee in there?
No, no,
No.
no.
What do you see there that identifies on that level?
Ganasonwe unwe.
Yep. So let's see, their guru that everybody followed, they all followed Louis Hall into Warrior Society, and they all end up calling themselves Haudenosaunees. How is that? How could they end up there when even Louis Hall's earliest, whatever, paintings, whatever you want to call this, renditions, or even you can identify it as like a chronicle of the Confederacy of the Ganyangahaga. So he identifies there clearly Ganasumwe Unwe, not Haudenosaunee, Ganasumwe Unwe. Okay, so everybody knows that this is who we are. We are the only people left who identify as Ganasumwe Unwe. Everybody else, absolutely everyone, identifies as Haudenosaunee. Good for them. I applaud them. Because now you have locked yourselves in the ovens. There is no way out for you now. There is no returning back to Ganasumwe Unwe. No one can return back to that because just think of this. If Stephen McCumber, the poobah of Christian Hansen Lake here in Ganawagi, or Kevin Deere, the two of those guys, both of them are transed into that. Those guys, they would never now be able to identify as Ganasumwe Unwe, because if they did, they'd be identifying with us, and they cannot do that. So this is where we say that now everyone is locked into the categorization in which they have placed themselves. And you have heard me identify that, well, our court case is fighting against Haudenosaunees because they put a false identity upon me within my court case of Haudenosaunee. And I appeal it. I'm appealing the identity of Haudenosaunee. And within that appeal, the lower level court of the Quebec Appeals Court, no, the Quebec Superior Court. No, the Appeals Court identified that, yes, they recognize that there is a dispute in the identity. That's it. That not a dispute, what's the term I used it? Not I can't remember the word now. But anyways, there's a dispute within the identity. When I said I am not Haudenosaunee, and then they recognized that, they said, yes, we recognize that there is I can't remember that damn word right now. Anyways, they recognize that there's this parity in the identity, that the court placed an identity upon me of Haudenosaunee, and I said, no, I'm not. And then the higher court said they recognize that there's a dispute in the identity, but they just upheld the lower court's judgment. knowing that the judgment was as a Haudenosaunee, and the judgment is that Haudenosaunees are taxable. Well, now our case is fully lodged within the Supreme Court of so-called Canada. It's fully there. We jumped through all the hoops, all the rings of fire, and now we are completely out of the Quebec courts, or the Quebec Court of Appeal. Just to exemplify this, or to substantiate it, I'm going to share an email that we got. Now it's going to take me a second to get this. I wasn't prepared for this, but I want to make sure that I don't get any like email addresses or anything in here. So give me 1 second. Bum, bum, bum. Oh my goodness. Where is it? Okay, it was sent to me in French, but we got a translation of it. Where the hell is it? Edith, do you know the email that I'm talking about? Did you receive it today also? It was sent to you?
I will have to look. I was super busy today. I barely checked
Okay,
anything.
I'm gonna read it off to you. It's just the translation. I don't want to show anybody's emails.
Hmm. Is it the one that is titled final? No, fully translated leave to appeal?
No.
Is it the one that you received like the answers from the prosecutors?
Yeah,
Is it the one?
The Quebec.
Okay, I read them
Okay,
all.
here, I'm just gonna share. This is the translated one. Like I said, we got to be careful. I don't want to share any emails, addresses, or anything.
You're
Okay,
good like that.
Like that, yeah.
okay, so this is what it translates today from the Appeals Court of Quebec. We just received. Oh, this is not it. Damn it. Okay, we acknowledge receipt of a notice of application for leave to appeal served on our offices on March 9th in the above mentioned matter, and inform you that the Attorney General of Quebec will not intervene in this case. Sincerely. Okay, so this is just to verify in your minds as to, well, I'm not just saying stuff, I'm showing you the actual, well, that isn't the actual email that was translated to me by Mary Claude. So the actual one in French says that in French, but this is to identify now that our case is completely out of the hands of Quebec, and it is now in the Supreme Court of so-called Canada. And for them saying they will not intervene, I'm not sure what that means. You know, like if you're going to court and the prosecutor says, well, we won't be there to intervene, to me, that kind of sounds like a stay, like a stay of proceedings, just like what happened to us in the original, in the beginnings of the case. Some of you may know, if you've been with us, that there was two prosecutors. There was a federal and a provincial, and the federal prosecutor stayed the case on us 4 years ago now. Well, right at the beginning. It was a woman. She stayed the case. We sent letters 2 times to them asking why was the case stayed. They refused to answer. They just said that once the case is stayed, that there's no further explanation needed or whatever. But anyways, the Fed stayed the case, which means even though Quebec insisted on proceeding, that the Fed was not going to be there to intervene. As a matter of fact, what did happen to us was they in the court at arraignment, the federal prosecutor did identify that the woman said she knows that Mr. Mayo, referencing me, she's speaking to the judge, wants to challenge or intends to challenge the colonial court systems of Canada. And so she said that to postpone till, I think it was like 2 months down the road, something like that, or a month, to postpone to another date. And 2 days before we got to that date, she sent us another email saying that we don't have to show up in court, that the case has been stayed, that there be no proceedings, that's it. And we were like, hey, wait a minute, we're here to fight. We're here to fight this. We're here to argue it. So we sent a letter saying, why did you stay the case? You know, and they won't say. Anyways, in this correspondence from the province today, of what I just read to you, that they will not intervene, to me, I don't know, it kind of sounds like that. Or unless it just means on some bureaucratic level of on the levels of filing in the Supreme Court, that they won't dispute it. That they won't say, well, you didn't file this document. You didn't fill out this form. You know, it could be that. You know, I'm actually hoping it will be that, because I want to continue this fight against these low-level, systemically racist prosecutors within the Supreme Court of Canada. But we'll see now. So today now we are fully out of the Quebec courts. There is no way that they can affect this case now, or have any kind of judgment or ruling upon it in any way. No way that they can enforce their lower court's findings, because it is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. And I know you've been hearing me say this, that the argument, what's being appealed, is Haudenosaunee. That's what's being appealed, because the lower court in their proceedings identifies that Haudenosaunee are taxable, because Haudenosaunee are all represented under the ban system, the British imposed genocidal compliant ban system. They're all Haudenosaunee. And so all Haudenosaunee, because they're all under the ban system, are all taxable. They must pay their taxes because they belong to the province. And this means that, well, the ones that live in Grand River, or even in Akwesasne on the island side, that they belong to Ontario. And the ones that are in so-called New York State, they belong to the state of New York. And that means the entire Haudenosaunee Confederacy, whoever those monkeys are, that they all belong to the state of New York. They all pay their taxes to the state of New York. And this is obvious, you know, like to anybody who's aware of the political situation in Akwesasne, that in order for them to have their casino there, they had to make a gaming pact, a compact with the state of New York. And prior to that, all identifications coming into Akwesasne stated Mohawk Nation. And now it all identifies Mohawk tribe. They're a tribe. Well, there are no tribes that were part of the Iroquois Confederacy. No tribes, only nations. Because to be a nation, you must have constitution, you must have law and what you abide by and what you are governed under, and to keep you within your nation status. Okay, anyway, so this is where we are now. The categorizations are all officially lodged. Everyone in Ganawagi are all officially Haudenosaunees, everyone, except for us here up the hill, in the Longhouse up the hill. We're the only ones who are not everybody else. We are the Gunasumwe Uwe. We have never changed. We will never trans like Kevin Deere, even McCumber, into from where they used to be, because they used to be, well, not Kevin. Kevin was never in the Longhouse, but Stephen used to be in the Longhouse. His father was actually war chief for a couple of months back in the early 70s, but that process killed him. So Stephen trans. Kevin, Kevin Deere, he was never in the Longhouse, so he's just that end result of that trans. So that means everybody at the Christian Handsome Lake House on the so-called Mohawk Trail, what they call that, the 207 Warrior Society, they're all officially represented under the band system. And this has been that way since the summer of 90 anyway, since the summer of 1990, while they were claiming that they were up against, in a military skirmish up against the Canadian military, they actually weren't, because they were actually under the mayor, Joe Norton, who was brother to Selma, who was the head of the 207, and who gave the power to her brother to represent the Warrior Society during the summer of 90 in the negotiations in the Pines. So this is what gives the courts of so-called Quebec the false perception that everybody in Ganawagi is Haudenosaunee. No, everybody who is lost is Haudenosaunee. And just like I showed you in that picture, I'll show it to you again, that I don't see how anybody could not remember these things. They're so ridiculous, everybody, that they all follow they all followed their guru, Louis Hall. But look at even Louis Hall. He did not identify Haudenosaunee. He identified Ganasumwe Unwe. So, anyways, the stupidity is complete. And now since we are now within the on the levels of the Supreme Court, now we just put it out there fully, because now if we would have done this before, it would have given people the ability to trans back again, but that would be infiltrators. That would be people who are not doing it for law. They're only doing it to try to avoid being taxable under Quebec or Ontario or New York State, which means completely taxable by Canada and the so-called United States. So this is where we are now. It makes me very happy to say the door is closed now. You've heard me say this many times, though, in the past, that the door was closing. It's at different levels. If the door's wide open, hey, door's half closed, that would mean, hey, you got half the time of whenever it started closing to be able to get through those doors. Now, no one, absolutely no one, can get through those doors. It's on the levels of Guyana Rasaraskanagoa now, where everyone who has categorized themselves, where they will be judged. And this is a judgment. It's not really a judgment by me. It's a judgment by their lord and masters within the province, within the state, within the Fed, who will now be able to completely identify them as theirs. They are no longer are us. They are no longer Ganyangahaga. They're no longer Mohawk. They're no longer anything that they want to identify any longer. And just to address the stupid people out there who have been saying the stupid stuff, like, oh, some of you may have seen comments like this on previous posts that we have shared. Some have said, oh, like as if he's the last one, you know, referencing the things that I'm saying. And they say, like, what about us? Well, what about yous? What about yous? Yous don't factor in anywhere. Doesn't matter any longer, whatever about yous. Because it's not about if you are alive or not. It's not about if you are in this world. It's about the categorization of you being Haudenosaunee. I am not Haudenosaunee. I am not what everyone else is. I am gonna Uwe. And you could even say that now. Watch, I'll guarantee you, you're gonna start seeing and hearing people identifying as gonna Uwe. Anybody else who you're gonna hear identify that, you're gonna know right off the bat that they're full of shit. They're liars. I don't care who you're hearing saying that, because whoever they are not here in the Longhouse up the hill. And that means that they have all identified as being in opposition to us. So you can't claim that you're in opposition to Ganasunwe Uwe and then all of a sudden start claiming that you're Ganasunwe Uwe. Because that's judged now within your self-categorization. So Nyawagoa to everybody. It's been a big struggle. As you know, here in Ganawagi, it's been a 50-year struggle. And the reality of, we could say it's been a struggle within the Longhouse, the divisions of the Longhouse, that the people of Ganawagi were divided and fighting. Well, the reality of it is that for the last 50 years, it's been directly against me, directly against my family. Because when the Longhouse split here in Ganawagi, there was me, my family, and everyone else. There was at one time only one other person from the original house, and that was our late Chief Joe Phillips. And then after he died, well, there was nobody else, just my family. And others who were like, who had come along afterwards, they might say, well, we were there too. Well, you weren't there in the original house. There is outside of Joe Phillips, there was only one other person who you could say who was kind of there in the original house, but not really. He only returned in 1976, and a complete physical, like, battle separation was in the spring of 78, where the fighting actually began. And since that time, the fighting was directed against my family. And as everybody in Ganawagi knows, well, the head of within my family who was all directed towards was me. Nobody else. So this is what it comes down to. So for all you stupid people out there who have been saying and who are going to say, well, who does he think he is? Like, we're still here. No, you're not here. You are nowhere. You are now completely under the white man. That's where you are. You have self-categorized yourself there, placed yourself there, and there's no way out for you now. It's impossible, because now the case is lodged in the Supreme Court of Canada. This is the reason why I've been identifying this over the past year, 2 years or so, you know, talking about Haudenosaunee, talking about how stupid everybody is. How did they all become Haudenosaunees? How is that? When I even showed you the red card from the Longhouse. Let me see, I'll even show it to you again to show you more further substantiation of that everybody back in the late 60s, early 70s that was coming back to the Longhouse. Well, they all wanted to come for this red card. And the red card identifies, let me see where here. So I know where I'm pointing. Yeah. So here you'll see, what does it say? Identification of the Five Nations Iroquois Confederacy. Right there. I don't know if you can see that. Is it blurry?
Yes. Okay, now we see.
And you see around the circle there, around the three clans?
Yeah.
Ganashunwe Unwe. So this is the red card that back in the late 60s, early 70s, when their guru, Louis Hall, was still there in the one Longhouse, before the band system created the corruption of the Warrior Society. It wasn't Louis Hall that created that. Before they created that, everybody here in Ganawagi identified as Ganasumwe Uwe. Now all of a sudden they're Haudenosaunees. So anyways, for me, it's like as if I've been dragged through the mill, I went through the gauntlet, and now it's finished. It's finished now. Everybody else is gonna go through that gauntlet now. And I'll guarantee you, there's nobody in Ganawagi that will be able to survive the things that I have over the past 50 years. And me saying that to you, big deal, I'll guarantee you. Well, what does that mean? Well, everybody knows they tried all of Ganawagi, the Warrior Society, the chicken shits that filled that place. They were all clanless. They all tried to kill my family a total of 7 times. Not just here in Ganawagi, but in Grand River, in Tonawanda, in Salto, Oneida. Yeah, I know that there's nobody in Ganawagi that would be able to survive that. Nobody that would be able to survive what my family, what I put up with, endured, survived over the past 50 years. All those attempts, the shooting up of our house at under the cover of darkness, late at night, 5 o'clock in the morning, shooting our house up with machine gun fire, the whole town, even at one time. No, you can ask Paul Delaroon about this. You can ask Michael Thomas about this. You can ask pretty much everybody who was a part of the Warrior Society back in the late 80s. They even surrounded my family, hundreds of them, right in broad daylight, in the middle of the afternoon in August, on a Sunday afternoon, right in the center of town at the Knights of Columbus, hundreds of them around me, around myself, my father, my brother Keith, and Darrell Williams, who was in a wheelchair. And they were all there threatening like they were going to do something. None of them would move. Not a single one of them would move. So these are the things that I say that I know that nobody in Ganawagi would be able to survive or endure the things that I have. And now that we're through it, that this is what they're all going to be facing now. So it pleases me. I am so happy now that we have come to this conclusion. And it just so happens to be at this time when everything else in the world is, as you see, it's all coming to a head. The white man's world is coming to a head because the white man's world, the corruption, is going to be brought down from here in Turtle Island only by those who have remained within original instruction, meaning there's no one else left now. It comes down to this, where we stand our ground all the way, and the facts are within our case that the arguments that I have is I don't even have to produce anything now because I got the judgments from the judges themselves within the courts, within the lower levels of courts of Quebec, identifying these things. I don't even have to present any evidence. So it's just so funny now. Okay, so I present that to you tonight. That we are now, everybody else now is on a slippery slope. Watch what's going to happen now. Here in Ganawagi, you're gonna see things come to a head far worse than anything that you have observed over the past 50 years. And for me, I'll just be laying in the sunshine. I'll just be enjoying myself like I always have. Everybody else struggled to try to get rid of us. Right from day one, the original split back in 73, the riots that happened, I was there. And everybody in Kahnawake who's my age, a little bit older, who could say that they don't remember me being there? So right after that, what happened right after the riots in September of 73, it was October, I'll say October, November at the most, that guess who of all people? John Chiacha, that came into Kahnawake, came to the police station, which is where the current fire hall is, and he met with Andrew DeLille there, and he opened up his briefcase. He had a briefcase full of money, and he said, now we can do business. The Longhouse people are gone. This is after the division, and they all ran away. The Warrior Society ran away. And he says, now we could do business. And the dispatcher, his last name was Stock. I forget his first name. He lived by the creek, right next to Mike Woodrow. He's the one who told us this. He said, no. He says, the chief is still right there. And he pointed across the street where Chief Joe Phillips lived. The chief is still there, and he says his people are still here. And at that time, the only people left was Joe Phillips, the chief, holding the title of owner at gold, and my family. Because when everybody walked out of the Longhouse, and this was completely verified, this is completely verifiable. Anybody ask. It culminated in 1976. This is a few years later. At the harvest, the Augusta of the harvest, that Joe Phillips's brother, Pete Phillips, stood up and said, anybody who supported Eagle Bay or the Warrior Society, we ask you to leave the Longhouse. And they all got up and left. All of them. Everybody. There was nobody left. There was only a few elders sitting in the house and me. There was no kids. I was the only kid that was there. So in 1976, I was 14 years old. Wait. Yeah, 14 years old. And I watched all my friends, I watched everybody, all the young ones get up and walk out of the house. So everybody can verify this. Ask your parents. Ask anybody who claims to have been in the Longhouse back then, if that's not true. So we have complete verifiability that the categorizations, what I'm identifying, are completely true. I'm not making anything up. I don't have to make anything up because the story that unfolded here is so outrageous that it sounds like fiction. It sounds like it would be concocted in some crazy person's mind. It was. You know who this story, in whose mind it was concocted? Jean Chrétien's. Because the story of Kahnawake is the application of his white paper of 1969. And it wasn't something that was to be applied someday. It was something that was applied immediately as of 1969. So as of 1974, when this break happened in the spring of 75, I'm still 12 years old because I'm born in September. I shared this with you in the past. myself, my brother Keith, we were the first ones to start swimming in the quarry across the street from my house. It was way down the bottom. When I started swimming there, the water was only up to my chest. So at 12 years old, figure how tall was I? Maybe 4.5 feet, 4 feet. So the water was only up to my chest. We're swimming in there. And so my brother Keith and I and my cousin, yeah, I think it was just my cousin Michael, just the three of us were there. And my brother Keith had a 22 Winchester model long rifle gun. And we're shooting at bottles in the water, cans. And 2 cops came down there to try to inflict what their new law was. And to give you an example of this, to make this connection to you, I shared this with you in the past, but soon as they look, oh, look at that! I opened it right to the page. Look at this. Guess who this guy is? This is Judge Alan B. Gould. He's the guy that presided over the negotiations in Ganassadagi during the summer of 1990. But he's the one swearing in these guys under Andrew DeLille's police force after the split. And so once, I'm sorry, I forget that guy's name, Stock. He was the dispatcher at the cop shop. Once he said, no, the chief is still here and his people are still there, that meant they had to come after us and subdue us under their laws. So guess what? This guy right here, does anybody recognize him? Anybody recognize that guy? Of course, the people that are here with us right now, you're not going to recognize him. But that guy's name is Gary Delarone. Gary Delarone. Him and Kenny Kane comes down to the quarry where we are, and there's nobody else in the quarry. And they tell my brother, hey, you got to stop shooting. And keep in mind, my brother's 6 years older than me. So I'm 12 years old at the time. My brother is 18. So they tell my brother and tell us, you know, like, you got to stop what you're doing. And my brother says, what do you mean? They're saying you're going to hurt somebody, you're going to hit somebody. We look around. There's nobody in the quarry, and we're in the bottom. We're in the bottom shooting into the water. And it's not me. It's my brother Keith. Myself, I don't play with guns. I never had guns. So I'm not a shooter of guns. This guy, Gary Delarone, him, he goes up behind my brother. And Gary, if anybody remembers, he's always had a belly, had a fat belly. Goes up behind my brother Keith and puts him in a chokehold headlock like this. And starts choking my brother's hands. And I grabbed the gun and I cranked it and I shoved it right into Kenny Kane's belly. And I said, you let my brother go or I'll fucking kill you right now. They both turned white as a ghost. They walked back to their car and they pulled out and they drove back up the back up the road, back up the ramp. They tried to get me and my brother under their law. And this is why I'm saying for the last 50 years that the brunt of everything has been upon me. Because the reality is when everybody was gone from the Longhouse, there was just me left. There was nobody else as far as being my age, you know, like there was no young ones. Everyone was gone. The only other one that I was saying that came back in 76, this is after everything was all done and over with, you know. This is the late Sizzy's son, Lewis. So he came back and he was with us, you know, a little bit. And but he's been gone for since the late 80s. Yeah. But he wasn't part of the original house. So there is nobody left in Ganawagi that, and throughout the rest of the Confederacy anyways, who knows and who can identify what the actual herstory is, what the occurrence, what occurred, what happened. Just myself. And for years, ever since then, for the past 50 years, they've been trying to subdue me under their law. And so now here we are. We are now in their highest level of court. And we got their own proof from their own judges acknowledging that there's a dispute. There's two different duality of identity here in Ganawagi. Everybody's Haudenosaunee, and then there's me, who are the only ones left as being Ganasungwe. So that little picture painting that I shared with you is from Louis Hall that's sitting in the library in Ganawagi. Anybody from Ganawagi, go and look at it. You're going to see the same thing that I just showed you anyways. But go prove it to yourself. Go look at it. Go and ask. Everybody knows that's Louis Hall's painting. There's nobody else who painted like Louis Hall. There was a fact, Louis Hall was a very unique painter, and he was an excellent painter. That's where he should have stayed. He should have just stayed painting and not got involved in anything else. It's like the late Joroquete. When he got into politics, he was a teacher in the immersion school. And when he was leaving, I said to him, I says, what are you doing? You should stay where you belong as a teacher. The moment he went into politics. So, yeah, the story has come full circle now. So it means the story is over for Ganawagi now. All right, so I leave that there. I don't know if anybody's got anything they want to say on that. I can't imagine anybody here who would know anything about it anyways. I know everybody who is watching in Ganawagi, you would have something to say that, yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I observed it. I was at those riots. I was at this. I was at that. You could confirm who was there. Where was I? But you will never get anyone in Ganawagi to come out and to speak the truth on anything. They have all made their bed, and they're all in bed with the white man's creation of the genocidal compliant ban system. They're all in bed with that. Everybody in Ganawagi is, except for us. And so now, I am so happy. Like I said, all I got to do now is just glide right in. There's no more no more struggle for me. Okay, so I see people got their hands up. I'll just leave that there, and let's go to whoever had their hand up for whatever.
I just made a quick research on intervening, if you want me to read it.
Yeah.
It doesn't say much. And next is Lucie. I asked her if it was related because she raised her hand when you were talking about the Supreme Court case. So it's about that. I wanna.
Okay, so what do you got about intervening?
Yeah, it's because I have a lot of stuff open. I don't want to share something. Okay, it says in Canada, intervention is a procedural mechanism that allows a third party, an individual, organization, or government to participate in a legal case without being one of the original parties. Role of an intervener: an intervene's primary role is not to win the case for one side, but to assist the court by providing a useful and different perspective on the legal issues. Expertise: interveners are often public interest groups, for example, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, professional associations, or governments. In a broader context, they help judges understand how a ruling might affect society or specific groups not directly involved in the lawsuit. Criteria for intervention: to be granted leave, permission To intervene, an applicant must generally prove two things. Interest. They have a real interest in the outcome or the specific legal question. Unique contribution. Their argument must be distinct from those of the main parties. They cannot simply repeat what has already been said. Process and limitations. Intervention is most common in appellate courts, such as the Supreme Court of Canada, where rulings have national significance. Strict rules. Interveners are usually limited to a short written brief factum and a very brief oral argument, often 5 to 10 minutes. No new evidence. They generally cannot raise new legal issues or introduce new evidence. They must work with the case as it exists. Cost. Interveners typically pay their own legal fees and do not receive cost reimbursement from the other parties. That's basically it. And it's AI generated, so.
Okay, the only thing here with that word intervene is that Mary Claude translated that and it was sent in French. So I asked her, I said, I know you're part of the email, so I know you probably seen it. I don't know if, well, I don't know. Did you see the emails back and
Yeah, I
forth?
read everything today, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if in French, if you do a search, if it says the same thing, or even if the translation is proper. Now, we know that in French, intervene in English, it's the same word.
Yeah.
You know? And it means the same thing, but maybe in an overall translation of it in French, maybe it means something slightly different. I don't know. But
first AI showed it to me in French, and I asked it, say it in English. I asked the question in English, but then they give me the result in French. So it's the same. Both of it, like in French or English. It's funny, it's probably because my computer is in French. It's censoring me in French.
well,
But then
wait
I
a
asked
minute.
to translate.
There's something else there to know that in Europe, in their legalese language, it's all done in French. French is the legalese language that's used in Europe.
Yeah, but my question was in Canadian courts. Intervening in Canadian courts.
Okay, so we're pretty certain of what it means. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of like, if there's a possibility from French to English, if there's a tiny, slight little difference in translation or interpretation of that word and its application. But right now, we know for the gist of it, what it means, that they're not going to intervene. That's what they said. Now, it's not just some person writing us this letter, it's the prosecutor that's representing Revenue Quebec.
Mhm.
Revenue Quebec wants $400,000 off of me. Well, more than that, it's almost $500,000, 468,000, I think, off of me. And the same thing, duplicated, they want off of Mary Claude. So, anyways, for them to say that all these things that we're appealing in the Supreme Court, that they're not going to intervene, what does that mean? What does it mean from here on out in the case? Does it mean that if and when we get our day in court, that they're not going to be there to say, well, we're arguing this or whatever, because they said they're not gonna? You know, it's yet to be seen. But I'll tell you what, everything that we've seen already in our case is already precedent setting. There's so many precedents that are set in our case that it's crazy, but nobody knows about it because there's a blackout. There's a media blackout on our case. Just imagine this. The only native in the entire country that is pushing back against charges from any province and identifying back systemic racial genocide. There's nobody else, no other native that has ever done this. No other native that has represented themselves and that has stayed out of their system based on what all of this happening, you know. So this case is already precedent setting in so many ways. So anyways, we'll see, wait and see what happens there. But no matter what, if no matter what takes place, the proceedings now, it's locked down Ganawage. Ganawage is locked down completely into two categorizations. Haudenosaunee, which is all band system, and then myself. Because the judge in the lower court ruling acknowledged the disparity in the identity. He acknowledged it, but then upheld the lower court's rulings. Now, me saying this to you, yeah, you'd say, hey, yeah, it all sounds right, what I'm saying. Well, soon, probably if not by Saturday, then next Wednesday, we are going to release all the court documents, meaning all the judgments and all the proceedings. Now, it's not the court documents in as far as the court minutes from each court, you know, like from the lower court and all of that, because that's one of the disputes that I don't pay for court minutes. The court has to pay for that. So we're going to release all the judgments in French and English. Now, this is either going to be Saturday or next Wednesday we're going to do it. So within the week, everybody, you're going to have it. You're going to see it. We're going to put it online. It's not going to be like we're just going to hold it here and talk about it and you'll have to come and watch this Zoom. No, it's going to be all there online for everyone and anyone to see. And you're going to see the utter stupidity of how the courts dysfunction. And these are supposed to be all professional people, judges, prosecutors, lawyers. They're supposed to know what they're doing. They don't. Not at all. It is a laughing stock, these courts, and that means for every non-native that just allows themselves to be dragged through the non-native court system, these are all just screwing yourselves over because it's all a kangaroo court system. It's a colonial court system. There is no solid line, so to speak. For them, it's just flexible all the time until we come into the picture. And then now that we're in the picture, their line is no longer flexible. So this is all going to play out in the Supreme Court now. If it even, I think what they're going to do is probably just bury it and wait. All they're going to do is wait 6 months, and no court case on earth is going to matter in 6 months anyways. You know, and some of you, if you've been with us, you know that even just maybe about 3-4 months ago when we were talking about the court case, I said, by the time we get to the Supreme Court, none of it is going to matter anyways. Because of what the ultimate insane white man is doing in the world, and make their whole world fall apart. Okay, I don't know if you got anything else on that, Angel. I see your hand is up still. That's you, right? Am I
Yeah,
saying
but
that?
it's for something later. It's for the other subject.
Okay, so you said Lucie. Let's go to Lucie then.
Yeah.
Quickly. I have two questions because you say that you know the court case send you a paper.
Mhm.
Do you think that they take you as the original traditional person in that, or it's the underneath that for them it's original? You know, I don't know, because you know, if they think that you're only a person that can help them to understand, maybe they don't take you as an original, you know, person. I don't know if you understand what I say.
How
And
about, how
yeah.
about if you say it in French and Edith will translate?
OK. Alors, Edith, moi, ce que je me demande, c'est que le fait qu'ils le mettent dans comme une case qui n'est pas nécessairement une personne originaire de je ne sais pas si, d'après ce que j'ai compris en anglais, peut-être que j'ai mal compris, mais est-ce qu'ils prennent vraiment pour est-ce que maintenant, c'est les personnes qui payent les taxes, tout ça, qui vont considérer comme autochtones? Je sais pas, là, je comprends pas. Moi, je trouve ça bien, bien spécial que les Autochtones payent des taxes. Qu'est-ce qui arrive avec la terre? Qu'est-ce qui arrive avec le territoire?
So the question is, if you're saying basically, Lucy is trying to comprehend. So if you're saying basically that they have put you like a kind of like a little box, you know, like they have categorized you or placed you somewhere. And the other ones, like the Haudenosaunees, are the ones that are recognized, like by the governments and stuff, but they are the ones that are paying taxes. So how can this happen? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, how could the native people pay taxes? Like, natives shouldn't pay taxes at all, because if that's happening, what is happening with our Mother Earth, bottom line?
Okay, well, just so that you know, everybody that works here in Ganawagi all pays their taxes. All the band system, all the cops, everybody who works in the system, they pay their taxes. Everybody pays their taxes. Everyone who's iron workers. They're not like iron workers of my day, because iron workers of my day did not stand for that shit. Everybody, all these little sissy iron workers of today, they all pay their taxes. Every single last one of them. No matter where they're working, if they're working here in Quebec, if they're working in New York City, no matter where, they all pay their taxes now. So it's not a matter of a box that I've been put in. It's a box that they have been put in, because I am free. I don't pay taxes. I never paid taxes in my life. I'm never going to pay taxes. And the fact that this court case is about taxes, and in the court, they've already ruled that Haudenosaunees are taxable. Now they've identified, like I said, the lower court, the superior court, there was the judge there. Her name was Imond. Judge Imond. What the heck was her first name? I don't know why I want to keep
Annie Emon.
Annie Imond. I want to keep saying Judy. Judge Judy Imond, you know, Annie Imond. So she, in her judgment upon me, she put Haudenosaunee identity on me, which no one on earth could ever say I ever claimed to be Haudenosaunee. She is a liar. She done that to classify me with everyone else in Ganawagi who's taxable. They are already taxable. So me saying I'm not Haudenosaunee, and then the higher court of appeals acknowledging the disparity in the identity. So here's the lower court saying Haudenosaunees are taxable. Here's the higher court of Quebec saying they acknowledge that I'm not Haudenosaunee. So wait a minute. How are they going to say then that I am taxable? What it identifies is, what it reveals is that there are two identities in Ganawagi. And one identity they tried to get rid of for the last 500 years. But in my lifetime, I've observed it 50 years ago, back in 53 years ago, back in 1973, of them trying to get rid of the Ganasumwe and to create Haudenosaunee all of a sudden that goes along with them, that accepts paying taxes. So it's not me put in a box. It's everyone else, like I said, who have placed themselves in the ovens. It's not a box. They put themselves in the oven and they lock the door to the oven behind them. So they can't get out now. It's impossible. Everyone in Ganawagi is going to legally be classified as having to pay their taxes. There is no one in Ganawagi who will be able to get away with not paying taxes ever again. The only way they could get away with that is they would have to be of our house. And there's nobody in Ganawagi that's going to be of our house. It's impossible. So it's a poetic justice for me. All I had to do was stand my ground for 50 years. And everybody else who fought against me, tried to kill me, and put all the pressure of everything in Ganawagi upon me, I never succumb to it. I don't care if there's everybody and their sister who wants to kill me. Doesn't mean nothing to me. The truth isn't going to change. Guyana Nassaraskanagoa does not bend for all these assholes in Ganawagi that have all switched from being of our ancestry and to be the white man. Because that's what they all are now. You walk into Ganawagi and you try to find a native. Look for them. Try to see who's natives here in Ganawagi. Go into the band system and try to find one native-looking person. Even the current mayor, he looks like my late uncle Leo Benwell. It's probably in their family because they're married to French. They're probably connected to my Auntie Marion's, my late Auntie Marion's husband Benwell, because he looks exactly like him. You know, so you try to find any that look native. Yeah, anybody in all the in the province that sees every time that the mayor of Ganawagi is making a statement, tell me that you don't see a French guy talking. He looks just like a Frenchman. You know, so this is the reality. Everyone has become white. This is their choice. It is a political, spiritual choice. When they are too chicken shit to stand their ground, when they have the fear of their God in them, then what they do is they bend over backwards to kiss the white man's ass. I never do that. I never will. I will always stay within my mother's identity. So as far as a box, then this is where I say, like, if you can think of this box of where I am in a separate box of everyone else in Ganawagi, how can they shut me up? There's only one, and they can't really shut me up. The only thing they can do is sort of like what they've done on the federal level, is to stay the case. Because once they stay the case, there's no judgment, no ruling, and we're just left standing there saying, hey, we're here to fight. They've done this in the past in our case against my father. They had a case against my father where the late Paddy Phillips, which is the late Pete Phillips' son, who was the brother of Joe Phillips, who said in 76, everybody leave the Longhouse. Anybody who supported the Warrior Society or to move to Eagle Bay. So Pete Phillips is the one who said that. His son, Paddy Phillips, sold out, became a cop, and he lied in the courts. They tried to get us, him and the late Kojak, a Macumber, they're not native anyways. They're I think they're from Switzerland or Sweden, something like that. His mother. That's the late Chief Polkenfire's son. Him and Paddy Phillips lied in the court. They put charges on my father of attempted murder, saying that my father would have shot Paddy Phillips in the foot with a 12-gauge shotgun at point blank range. And in the court, the only evidence that Paddy Phillips had, no doctor's report, nothing, he had a Polaroid picture with a scratch on his foot. So what the judge did was for some reason, they put a publication ban on the case because of the stupidity of it. And so through the publication ban, that there was a lot of media present. This was back in, I think, 91. The judge ended up throwing the case up. And we were standing there saying, hey, we're here to fight, because we were fighting two-row wampum in the court. We were using two-row wampum. And we're saying, hey, what are you doing? We're here to fight. So once they threw it out, there's no judgment. And if there's no judgment, then they don't have anything on their side to say that there's a legal precedent set, no jurisprudence. So that's the only thing that they can do now in the Supreme Court of Canada. And this is why I say either they're going to put it on the back burner and just wait. All they got to do is wait 6 months. And in 6 months' time, nobody on earth is going to have to worry about any court case. No one. So either they'll do that, or else maybe we're misinterpreting what the Quebec prosecutors letter is to us today, when they're saying they will not intervene, they will not dispute. Does that mean that when they get to court, then there's going to be no, when we get to the Supreme Court, there's going to be no one on that side? And if there's no one on that side charging us or prosecuting us, then what happens in the Supreme Court? No judgment. There's nothing there to do. So it just disappears. So that's how they can keep me in this imaginary box, but it's not an imaginary box. Because their hopes were that we would not know what to do. We would not know how to fight this. We would not be able to sustain. But here we are, 5 years into our case that has set precedences that does not exist in anybody else's case. Impossible. We are 5 years and we did not even file an appeal yet to the original case. As you know, or as everybody might know, that you got 30 days to file your appeal. And if you don't file it within 30 days, you lose. Well, here I am, 5 years, and I'm in the Supreme Court of Canada, not even appealing the case. It's not even about the case. Like the meat and potatoes of it, like what they charge us on, the so-called illegal tobacco, which but there's a $400,000 fine. It's not even about that yet. It's about the side arguments. There is nobody else that has ever done anything like this on any level. So this is what they were hoping, that we would just not know what we're doing. We wouldn't be able to afford a lawyer, because in the beginnings, when we did check into a lawyer how much it would cost to fight this, the first thing that they said was they needed a $75,000 retainer, just a retainer. So you could imagine how much it would have cost us to keep fighting over 5 years to go through from the lowest level of court to the Superior Court to the Appeals Court and now to the Supreme Court of Canada. You could just imagine how much that would cost. Well, it didn't cost us nothing except our time. Nothing. It cost us going for a little while, going to court, gas up in, where did we go to court? Do you remember, Edith? Was it in, not, Mont Laurier? Was it Mont Laurier?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere up north anyways. Costed us gas there. That was like a 3 hour drive. But luckily, people that we knew, non-native people who were supporters of us, gave us their chalet. And we stayed in their chalet up there for 3 days because the court case was going for 3 days. So you would think they were probably thinking, hey, it's going to cost them a lot of money. Like they're going to have to pay for a hotel or going back and forth each day. No, all the way through this, I'll tell you, we were just cruising on Easy Street. We were having the time of our lives, playing. Well, they had the complete machination of their whole legal system and their political system, because each judgment, every step of the way, they all said in order to pass their judgment, they couldn't pass judgment there. They had to take their judgments under advisement. So that means their judgment under advisement, that they got to go and they got to talk to who? If you're a Superior Court judge, who do you got to get your ruling under advisement? Like if it's anybody else, you don't got to get it under advisement from anyone, because you're, as the Superior Court judge, you're supposed to know the rule. You're supposed to know the law. Well, in this case, none of the judges know a damn thing. So each of them had to take it under advisement. This Judge Annie Iman, the one who put Haudenosaunee on me, she stated in the court that she's got to take this her judgment under advisement. So guaranteed that when she went to whoever's advising her, that's where she got this identity of Haudenosaunee. to put that on me. So this is, like I'm saying, they're all a bunch of stupid idiots in the first place. Yes, because they're a colonial court system. And to support a colonial court system upon the original people, you gotta be the most corrupted person, the most systemically racist. You gotta be the stupidest person. Because what they are saying, that natives are taxable, that this Ladowski, like I said, some guy from Poland or wherever the hell he's from, a white man from Poland's gonna come here into my house and say that he's got the right to tax me. So now they, like I said, they never thought that we'd end up, that we'd be able to sustain the blows they're sending at us. Basically, it's pretty much like what's happening right now, what the white man is doing against Iran. They're thinking that they're going to defeat Iran. They're thinking that they're going to have hellfire there. They're going to have hellfire. It's true, they're gonna. But it's not going to be the way that they think. It's going to be in a different way. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but as far as these boxes, I ain't in a box. Even one of the PKs here in Ganawagi, one of the town cops, they've had him for some reason. And this is, what the heck's his name? Patton. Bobby Patton. For some reason. And like I said, 3 years ago when this came up, I'm going to find out about Bobby Patton. And when we find out the truth, he ain't going to like what's going to happen. Because for some reason, Bobby Patton was in the court talking to the court about me, but he did identify that his exact words were that I am a free man upon the land. Whatever that means. A free man upon the land. Now, right now, can one of you, Angel, can you check that up? Check that out. What does that mean? Free man upon the land. So this is a cop in Ganawagi here, a sellout cop, works for the white man, identifying, in my case, for some reason, what the hell was he doing there? Identifying to the courts, this is who I am. So the box is all around them.
It says, free man upon the land refers to individuals often termed sovereign citizen or OPCA litigants who wrongly believe they are only bound by common law, not statutory laws and government regulation. They argue that they are exempt from taxes, traffic laws, and court jurisdiction unless they consent, a position courts have consistently rejected as pseudo-legal.
Yeah. Well, you see what they're talking about there is they're talking about white people, non-native people. They're not talking about natives who are party to treaty. So this is where one of the disparities here, I can see now by what you just identified, the definition that Bobby Patton is probably the reference to why they call me Haudenosaunee. But like I said, soon, and everybody in Ganawagi who's hearing this, you all know the conditions here. Soon, we're going to find out the truth about Bobby Patton and his intervening in my case to make that statement. So just by that that translation that you just gave, Angel, for Bobby Patton to say I'm a free man upon the land, he's trying to classify me and put me in the box with white people who try to claim that the white man's laws don't apply to them. So soon all of this is gonna have its final play out in the Supreme Court, if it gets there. You know, like I can't see them having this case go through there. I see them putting it on the back burner because they already told us that when we were filing the case, they said it could take even a couple of years. And imagine if it took a couple of years from right now, where we would be. The world will be over by then. You know, and no judgment, without a judgment. So anyways, I don't know, does that answer your question somehow? I don't know.
Yes, it's answering my question, and I don't understand. You're all for me, okay? Ganawagi was a reserve, a federal one, eh? And they pay taxes to Quebec.
Yeah, because of, and this is what everybody's too stupid to know. Everybody just a bunch of sellouts here in Ganawagi. They all went Warrior Society in 73, which was created by the band system. The band system is the white man's system. And Jean Chrétien, who created the white paper in 69, applied it. That's why the riots of 73 happened here in Ganawagi, because of their policing, because the white paper demanded a policing. So 73 seen that no, the white man cannot put their police in here. So they had to put white man's law in disguise of these people. Look at all those people, who they are. Hey, lots of Montors in there. Yeah. Lots of Montors who are actually part of the murder of Sandor Rice. The guys that you actually see in this picture, part of the murder of Sandor Rice. I know this. I'm the only person left now in Ganawagi who's remained within Ganasumwe who knows all this information. Nobody else. And even the other people in Ganawagi, they don't know this information. If I told them this, they'll say, oh, yeah, you're full of shit. But then I point out facts and I present actual evidence and they can't dispute it. No one can dispute. This is the thing about, for myself, anything that I say or present, it's through firsthand knowledge, actually being there, or else having the hard evidence, the facts, the physical proof. Everybody else, they're all living in some fantasy land. So the evidence of that, of them living in a fantasy land, again, is everybody followed that guy, their guru, Louis Hall. Then how come they're not calling themselves Ganasumwe? How come they're all calling themselves Haudenosaunee? Everybody's stupid. It's just that. Yes, you're in Ganawagi, you're the other side. You got to be the other side because you're not this side. You're stupid. Like it or not. How could you not be? It doesn't become a matter or an issue of personality. I don't care if anybody likes me. I don't care if I don't like that person who's carrying the truth. You got to accept the truth that they're carrying. It's got nothing to do with the personality. And this is where I've always said, hey, I ain't running for miscongeniality. I don't give a damn if anybody likes me. I actually prefer it that nobody likes me, because what it does is it makes my job a lot easier, because then I don't have to deal with what I've had to deal with over many times. And even some people here have seen infiltrators here from Ganawagi come into our house, just like Steve McCumber, you know, Carol McGregor, what was her name? Cheyenne Whitebeam. Infiltrators. They don't get anywhere here. We end up dealing with them. And so through this thing that people always address with me is they address me. They don't address any of the facts or any of the things that I'm saying. This has worked perfectly. So perfect, because then I don't have to deal with them. And here we are now, that all the people that I didn't have to deal with, they don't even realize that they're involved in our court case. But they're on the white man side of it. And not just me saying, you're on the white man side of it. It's legally recognizable under the courts that they all recognize. So it's a big tragic comedy here in Ganawage. Okay, anyways, I don't know. Anybody else has anything on that? If not, let's move on. Okay, you still got your hand up? Is your hand up for a reason, or?
Yeah, I have something to share. Amangel, daughter of Jeanne Mance, granddaughter of Jeanne Aimée, great-granddaughter Marianne, Turtle Clan temporary representative in the Life Givers Nation, and welcome to the Matrix. I want to share something that I found this morning. You saw it. You said we should talk about it tonight, and I have a small news about the moon too. So here it says that there's two data centers that would be based on human cells. They explain it. I read it all, and here they explain that instead of using traditional GPU servers, which is like kind of like the way it's built, these facility would be powered by Cortical Labs biological CL1 units. And when you read about these, it explains that that each of these biocomputers is equipped with a chip known as a multi-electrode array that has 200,000 human brain neurons grown directly on it. For comparison, the human brain is estimated to contain between 60 billion and 99 billion neurons. So it's a small amount, but still. Whoa. It's a heavy website. There's too many ads there. It says that it goes with the like multiplication of data center from these big companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and OpenAI. And I'm trying to find where they explain.
Just to throw something in there where you see these companies, conveniently, they don't identify Anthropic.
No. Maybe it's not big enough yet. They don't identify Apple either, and like even like XAI and the companies of Musk in there.
Okay,
They the bigger ones.
hang on. Isn't OpenAI Sam Altman?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's look back just to a week ago, or no, a little bit more than a week, 2 weeks, before Trumpler completely lost his mind and waged war on Iran. The week before that, actually, it was a Tuesday, he said that if Anthropic does not drop its safety guidelines by Friday, so that's a matter of 3 days. If they didn't drop it by Friday, they would be out of the picture, and even they identified Anthropic as being a national security risk. So Anthropic was the one that was creating, or that was the designer, the creator of the Pentagon's military systems. So Anthropic was there, which means that they had to be bigger and better than
No.
OpenAI.
I think no. Anthropic is not the one. I think you're mixing with Palantir.
No, Anthropic. 2 weeks
Because they
ago.
refuse that it would be used for military and surveillance purposes.
No, they didn't want the safety guidelines to be taken down. They didn't actually refuse the military applications because they were in the military. Anthropic. Anybody, Edith, can you check up right now, Anthropic?
I will tell you, I made a research on them and look at their webpage. Anthropic. You'll see the homepage. I reported to you, but I think it's this one.
I have to ask specifically, was Anthropic?
I was not done sharing and presenting my story either. So if you may, I will just continue explaining the AI stuff because that's pretty important, the way they explain it.
Yeah, but what I'm pointing out here is that the one that was actually spearheading in the military in the Pentagon, they don't mention it.
Yeah, but it's only one website amongst a bunch of them, but it's the only one that I found that is not that I don't have to subscribe to share. And here they explain how they explain that it's based on they grown in lab chips that is like that they grow cells from blood, human blood. And they say here that it will use less power than a handheld calculator. But when I was reading that here, Melbourne and Singapore companies, where do they explain it? I don't know. It's somewhere in there. They explain how it's built, but it's a chip that it's they call it biological because it's lab grown like cells, and they use it as to power the computers, which makes us think about the Matrix when they were plugged in pods and stuff like that. It was directly plugged on human, like a bunch of places on the body. So that made me think of that. But Anthropic here, this is their homepage. So they are.
but
And just to answer, and like, yes, they had a contract with the US military since 2024. Their Anthropic's Cloud AI was used by the government, and it was the first frontier AI model cleared for use in classified sensitive national security applications, often in collaboration with Palantir.
so
Palantir is the big company.
So Anthropic, being the one that was already in the military, in the Pentagon, it would have to be more advanced into this stuff that you're presenting right now than the other companies. Because otherwise, it's not like you think the Pentagon is going to go with somebody who's only got 4 things when another company has 5 things. You know, it doesn't work that way. So
It's
what you're identifying.
Cloud is specialized with coding and stuff. That's why they use it. They all have like the models, they all have kind of specialties, and Claude is more like used by coders, programmers and stuff. That's why in the military for machines and programming software, that's why they use it. And now Anthropic is suing the government because of the sanctions they imposed. I read this today.
They're suing the government for labeling them as a national security risk.
Yeah, and the sanctions that they imposed.
Yeah, but the main thing is they can't fight those sanctions no matter what. The main thing is that their case is fighting that Trumpler identified them as a national security risk. Then the other things are underneath that, because the other things underneath that would never get to the court. They would never get to the levels they want it to. It's got to be first this argument of that we're not a national security risk. They couldn't be, because Anthropic did not have a dispute with the Pentagon. There was no dispute, according to all the news articles about it. There was no dispute, and this is where what we see is that Sam Altman was supporting Anthropic's position where there was really no position, but it's like he stabbed them in the back, because as soon as Anthropic was pushed out of the way, then Sam Altman was there with the same thing that Anthropic had. So
But
made
it's
no
the
sense.
same model exactly. It's OpenAI is the ChatGPT one, so it's different, but they all link together anyway.
Look, if you're making a human robot hybrid of your left arm or your right arm or your left leg or your right leg, it really doesn't matter who gets there first. They're going to go with who gets there first, because it's connected to the human brain. And you know what? Look up right now. One of you, somebody look up just either, it may have been today or yesterday, in the UK, the first human living brain cells taken from a living human. He agreed, some guy in the UK, because he had some kind of something with him, some kind of health condition, he agreed to having living brain tissue removed from his brain. And they're using that now. So it's not just a matter of that it's grown out of human blood cells. Now they actually have human brain cells, human brain tissue. Did anybody look that up in the UK? It was either yesterday or today that the first extraction of living brain tissue.
I'll try to find it. But it's exactly that. Like you say, whether it's from blood or from some humans or whatever, it's just the beginning of it. It's only the ones we know.
Well, this is where, like what he said a couple of weeks ago, that they want. When I seen this issue brewing with Anthropic, I put a post up saying that because Trumpler wants to use artificial intelligence in the war against Iran. Now, we all know that artificial intelligence is already there. So we're talking about a new level, the next level of artificial intelligence. So here, what you're identifying, this is the first human computer hybrid artificial intelligence robot human being.
Yeah, and the name of the company, Cortical Labs. That's the thing we need to remember.
Cortical?
Cortical, Corticals Lab. Corticals Lab. Not sure I'm finding the. It's I type UK brain cell extraction human stuff like that, and it refers to Cortical Labs.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me too. Yeah.
And see, and this was just done in the last 2 days. So this guy, who's the donor, he had some kind of neurological disorder, something, and he agreed to having living brain tissue taken from his head, so much that it's live streamed. It was live streamed on CNN. So
would it be, it says researchers in the UK, particularly in Edinburgh and London, are pioneering the extraction of live human brain cells from tissue removed during surgeries.
Yeah,
for example, tumor removals, or from stem cell conversion to model diseases like Alzheimer, dementia, and epilepsy. Is it the one?
Yeah, when was that?
But it's like there's 2 articles really, because it's AI summary. There's one from October 2018 and another one from April 2025.
Okay, well, it's just in the last couple of days where they said it's the first one, the first actual living brain cell tissue extracted from a living human.
Okay, I type CNN and then it says 28 years old, donates part of his brain for research, and it's a video.
Yeah, I guess
it says one day ago.
Yeah, that's
the
the one.
one.
So that's connected to the company that you're talking about. So this guy can think, anybody can think, well, I'm donating it to whatever, like to go to research to help other people. But no matter what, it's going to those AI companies to incorporate in their first human robot hybrids. And I'll say that this is already, because if we're hearing about it right now, it's already there for at least 10 years. So this is what they're using in these wars now. This is why Trumpler has stepped out of the norm as to anybody that's ever tried to fight a war there in the Middle East, that he's gone out on a limb. Now he's going out on a limb for some reason. He's got some kind of card up his sleeve that nobody knows of. And this is what we were saying. When I seen that happen 2 weeks ago with Anthropic, it's obvious that he wants to take it to the next level to apply this human hybrid robot to the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Where else are they going to use it? It's got to
And-
be there.
And I was curious to know about Anthropics because AI is everywhere. So at some point I said maybe I'll try to find some company that is more ethical than the other ones. And then when I searched on Anthropic, what I got there is just the confirmation about how much linked to the space exploration AI is that the homepage of the Anthropics company. It talks directly about planetary AI, first AI planet drive on another planet, and it talks about that directly, bam, the first page. That's quite obvious.
Oh, so you know what they're gonna do? You know what they're doing? They're manufacturing a human hybrid robot that could sustain on Mars.
Looks like it. It says you're always operating in the past. It takes about 20 minutes for a signal to reach a Mars rover from Earth. By the time a new instruction arrives, the rover will already have acted on the previous one. But on December 8 and 10, 2025, the commands that were sent to NASA Perseverance rover looked like something from the future. That's because for the first time ever, they'd been written by an AI. Explain. They used Claude to plot out the route for Perseverance, navigate, blah, 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 blah. So,
You know what that means? That means that on Mars and on Earth, in the exact same instance, remove the time that it takes for the signal to travel. Would you say it is like 4 minutes, 20 minutes from Mars to Earth? So remove that. Because in the exact same instance here on Earth, now you got the human hybrid brain, computer brain on Mars. In the same instance, that'll happen. So you know what that's for. That's for military applications. So they're doing that to fight. They know what's going to happen. By the time they get to Mars, they're going to be fighting their wars on Mars. Yeah, this is Matrix stuff, it is utter insanity. It is Frankenstein. This is Frankenstein stuff. And the world just is in awe of it because it's technology. And everyone on Earth thinks that it's our technology. It's not our technology. No way. This is alien technology. And on Earth, who's controlling it is the Zion Nazis. It's the Zionists that are controlling it. So why Mars? Why there? Mars is already destroyed. It's not any longer a living planet because the water is all gone. Anybody can see just by looking at the images that whoever, NASA or whoever, has recorded through their satellites and stuff. Anybody can see that planet, its landscape, its geography was formed by water. And there's no more water there. So why have this instant exchange of information, knowledge, the thinking process? Why have it instantly from Mars to Earth? Earth to Mars. What they're doing right now, we know that artificial intelligence is using up the water of the Earth. And we know what we're seeing is Trumpler, for the first time on this level, engaging in war that is of artificial intelligence. Look at what it's done. It's raining down black hell. And it's destroying all the waters on that side of the Earth. And when you look at what all the analysts are identifying as to what's going to happen in the next 6 months there, to the waters, there will be no waters there that any humans could utilize. So we see a correlation of what we're looking at in this image of Mars. That's a dead planet. All the water is gone. And this is what they're doing here on Earth right now. The exact same thing. So you know what? There is something there left on Mars for them to communicate. Not humans going there. There's something left on Mars that has destroyed it and that is in communication whatever's this alien species, whatever, that is manifest through the Zionists here on Earth to do the exact same thing that has been done to Mars. We're looking at, when we talk about in the human body of cancer, that when you think of cells, think of what the image we're looking at of Mars, think of that as just a single cell within your body. Draw the parallels, that's just a cell. Now think of the Earth as another cell. Well, cancer hits a cell in your body, what does it do? It penetrates the next healthy cell next to it to kill it and to turn it just like it. So what we're looking at is the advancement of cancer within the larger body of Sky Woman. And this is artificial. There is an artificial entity. And it's showing its ugly face right now. It's to where here on Earth where we can be cognizant of it. And those of you who have been here, you'd have to be here in this house. I know you haven't, if you've been with us, like just following us on Facebook, you won't know this. We've identified that at the end of the 26,000 year cycle, or 25, however much you want to call it, at the end of it, what it means is that it's where Sky Woman started and she's coming back around to sit upon her throne again. You know that for years I've been telling you that at this time, when this happens, there's going to be a man that is running there to push her off her throne. Who is that man? Is it Trumpler or is it Netanyahu? This is what's playing out right in front of our very eyes. It's on such a large scale that here on Earth, as everybody has been made stupid now by the white man's stupidity, that no one can think like a human any longer. And a human means we're made up of all of that, so we can understand all of that. And if we are from all of that, then we can communicate with all of that. But now, all of a sudden, everyone on Earth is just a bunch of stupid, like, limited to this box, like what you said, Lucie. They've legally locked everyone into this box of perceptions that all they can perceive now is themselves under the mirror. They're stuck under glass. Sort of like what they done to the Anishinaabes through their wampum belts, put them under glass. They're stuck there now. They can't see out into anything any longer because when you're under glass, it's a mirror. You can only see yourself, so it's limited. Your knowledge, the knowledge of the people of Earth now is limited to just being not even people of the Earth. What they are is a bunch of stupid religious people. They believe in unicorns. Imagine that. They talk about unicorns. And they go to war over their unicorns. And their war, through their artificial intelligence, which they're incorporating into their war machine right now, destroys the water of the Earth, bringing us to the exact same level as to what has happened to that cell of Mars. Cancer is spreading through the body. And we are playing along with it. Everyone on Earth, 8 billion people, are what's making it happen. Well, let's say 7,999,000,099. I'm not a part of it. I'm fighting against it. I'm actually identifying to you what it is. There's nobody else on Earth who's identifying all what it is. Because you know what? People are afraid to say what it is. Not just out of fear, out of physical backlash of being disappeared, but actual fear of that people are just going to think that they're crazy. Well, here's all the evidence. We present all the evidence, and there's no disputing what the evidence is. And it's not crazy. It's insane. It's actually insane what 8 billion people are complying with. So now we've moved into human, robot, artificial intelligence hybrid. In order for them, like I said, for them to be revealing this to us in the news or in information, that means it's already been here for at least 10 years. So there's humans walking amongst us that you think are human, but they're not. Does anybody remember what was said what we said about all of these condos that they're building all over Quebec? What did we say about that?
You said it was for immigrant.
No. Is that all you remember? Nobody remembers me saying what it's for?
Yeah, there would be robots living in there because nobody else could afford them.
Yeah,
British Crown? No?
it's gonna be the human hybrids, artificial intelligence. It's not real humans. Where are all these condos that are built all over Quebec? Where are the people coming from that they're gonna occupy these buildings? They're not coming from Quebec, and the amount of immigrants and refugees that they're bringing in are not enough to fill up all those condos. But yet they're all getting filled up. Because like we said to you, that the ultimate battle happens right here. So they gotta populate here with their fake, false human hybrids. You don't know. The evidence is there right now that that they're creating this, so you don't know if the person you're with, your friend that you're talking to, that's telling you, hey, yeah, invest right now in Bitcoin, invest right now and you're gonna get a big return. How many people are doing this right now and identifying, invest in this right now? That's Trumpler's scheme, the Bitcoin. Yeah, you could say it was here before he got into office, but once he got into office, who else made a Bitcoin after their own name? Only emperors do that. You only see an emperor's head on a coin. So all of this that's happening to us right now, right in front of our eyes, anybody could piece it all together, but people are afraid to identify what it actually is. For, like I said, for physical retaliation reasons and for people just thinking that you're goddamn nuts. But the science is insane.
While I was looking at the data center human brain thing, because it's like data center powered on human brain to save electricity, basically. That's what I understood. I got there was a video popping and it talks about Musk and Bezos Moon landers could leave Artemis astronauts stranded. So I read a bit into it. It's another complication for them to go on the moon. It says that they hope to return astronauts by the moon by 2028, but building the spacecraft that will take them to the lunar surface is proving to be far more difficult than expected. A new watchdog report warns that the Artemis human lander program is not only facing delays and technical issues, but also unresolved crew safety risk. You know, when I talked a few weeks ago about the moon dust, it's like when you put everything together, it doesn't make sense at all. Doesn't make sense, but it's all AI powered now, so maybe they don't need the astronaut.
Well, through this AI hybrid human, now that human will be able to exist on the moon, despite that moon dust being an issue for humans. They'll be able to. And
yeah, but it's not only humans, it's for machines too, because it glues to everything. It goes into like cracks and stuff. So for any machine, it's not good either. It's not only humans, it's everything. It's a problem for everything. That's what they were describing in this article the other time.
let's understand that if you got a hybrid human robot, you don't need the machine any longer. The hybrid is the machine.
Yeah, but for it to function, it's still a machine. So if there's all dust that go into the cracks and stuff that prevent it to work, it's still a problem.
Not if it's a human hybrid AI. If it's that, functioning as a human, with the AI within it, you no longer need any of that stuff. You don't even need the rocket ship to get there any longer. When you think of it, everything is the money markets are all following Trump's agenda. Drill, baby, drill. So that means that's transferable into all areas of technology. It's not just if you're a mining company, drill, baby, drill. It's in all levels of technology, manufacturing. So it means push forward, advance. But the majority of it is for colonizing space. But what they're doing right now, the war that they're waging, is stopping the conventional methods of the technology that is currently with people, of what people think of how we get to the moon. So they're destroying right now the energy sources that will do that. So they're coming out. The next level of AI is not going to be something that we can, from right now, that what we can conceive or perceive or understand. It's going to be something so far beyond our perceptions that it'll be like a mosquito trying to comprehend a human. And in the process of comprehending, they just get swatted. We're at that stage now that where this war marks the change, the shift, everything, the entire world, every news outlet, everybody on earth is identifying that this war changes everything about humans, about what we know, what we've come to be with the status quo. It changes everything because we are now in best way to identify it, like what you said, it's a matrix now. We're right in the computer. Except for us, we're fighting it, we're resisting it. It could suck us into it, of course. What can we do to not get consumed by it? But I'd say we're the last ones on earth and still standing within our humanity. Everybody else is conformed. Okay, anything else on that?
No, for now, that's it. I think he did raise their hand, so it's probably on that.
Yes, I did. First comment on this, then I have 2 points that we said we would discuss tonight, Stuart. First is the peace charter with Natalie, and then the dream that I had with Elsa. So, first point is I just sent you an article from the Devoir. I cannot share it because apparently I have to pay now to read articles in the Devoir. But it says basically that China is fearing Terminator apocalypse and prevents the world from AI, Washington's AI. So obviously everybody's concerned, about everything that was said right now, because of course they are all US-based companies. So China is saying that. So that's the comment on this. I don't know if there's anything to say about that.
Well, China's pretty much at the same level, probably even more advanced in AI than in the United States. Unless there is some kind of differentiation between the companies there, like what we just seen, what Anthropic and Sam Altman's company, what is it? OpenAI. What we seen in what the skirmish that Trump had with them, saying that either you take down your safeguards by Friday or you're out. And it gave them 3 days to do that. So that must mean that technology, humans have some level of control over it. So maybe China is more advanced in having the control over its AI, having human control over it than what the United States is.
Possibly.
Because the United States is all out capitalism. And you know that goes with, there's no human integrity, there's no human concern, it's just the highest return. And so the highest return is in the most corrupted of everything. If it's the most corrupted way of mining, that's the highest return. If it's the most corrupted way of artificial intelligence, that's the highest return. So maybe there's something that we don't know of China's AI sector, you know, that is maybe more human controlled. Otherwise, why would they be saying that saying that about the US's Terminator technology? Very
Yeah.
interesting. It shows us something about the next battlefield then, with China and the United States.
Yeah.
And we know that battlefield is coming up very soon. It's not gonna happen. It is pretty much here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that being said, well, I didn't introduce myself. Edith está soko aksutan da jesko e panchita, de ganak satan da jesko e salsa, zapotek ni unzage mexika unwanirista, yonata yuni yankino sadista antaharai gano sasne, yadinyanga ha gano wage no wisni unzage ono arage gawan. Okay. So we have been having back and forth this week with our friend Nathalie, that is, well, she lives in France, but she's originally from South Korea. As people might recall, she came, we met her actually at the World Social Forum in 2016, and then she came later on to pay her respects to your dad's grounds, like, place where he's resting. We made a ceremony with her, she brought like quartz, stones, gifts and everything. So she's been working forever on peace, and she spearheaded a peace charter. So she's got a petition online that I'm just gonna share for everybody's knowledge. And this week, Stuart, you answered to her with a document that was sent to her, and we can also share the document that you sent to her, because basically she was asking us to give some comments that we could from within the Great Law of Peace, within the Tour of Wampum. And of course, as soon as we saw the document, well, there was a lot of things that were needed to be addressed first, or like the interface of the Tour of Wampum needed to be more there, because this is really only from one side of the Wampum, which is basically not the native one. So then, the letter that you sent, I'm going to share it too. I'm just like, everybody know or read. They can
Okay, this is a short document, right? What you're looking at right now?
Yeah, this is the short version of the peace charter, because apparently there's a longer version. It says it here.
Why don't you read it off so that everybody's gonna know what the line of discussion is?
Okay. So Peace Charter Initiative, short version 2026, English. Based on nonviolence, protection of life and human security, global independent and non-binding instrument. The preamble is: aware that the multiplication of violence, the degradation of the natural world, and persistent economic imbalances threaten peace, human security, and the future of coming generations, the participants affirmed the need of a universal framework of peace based on nonviolence, the protection of human life, and respect for all living beings. They recognize that certain fundamental structures of global governance, including international economic and monetary systems and institutional peace and security frameworks, have remained largely unchanged for more than 8 decades, and that a peaceful and cooperative review of their adequacy to contemporary realities is a collective responsibility. They adopt this Peace Charter Initiative in continuity with the founding principles of the Charter of the United Nations and in coherence with the mechanisms it provides for peaceful evolution. Article 1, Nature of the Initiative. This charter constitutes an independent, non-binding global initiative. It creates no international legal obligation and is not an instrument of the United Nations. Article 2, Fundamental Universal Principles. Human life is inalienable and represents the supreme value. Animal species fall under an increased responsibility. The earth, mother of life, must be preserved and protected as an essential condition of peace, human security, and societal continuity. Global economic, monetary, and institutional systems must be capable of peaceful re-examination when their functioning contributes to structural violence, instability, or the subordination of life to debt and financial interests. Article 3, Nonviolence and Peaceful Means. Participants reject violence as a means of settling disputes. They commit to promoting exclusively peaceful means, including prevention, dialogue, mediation, restorative justice, and cooperation. Article 4, inclusive participation. The initiative is open to states, peoples, indigenous nations, traditional authorities, diasporas, and communities without implying recognition of sovereignty, international legal status, or borders. Article 5, local ownership and diversity. All actions undertaken under this charter respect local, regional, and cultural contexts and prioritize the involvement of communities directly concerned by peace processes. Article 6, purpose. This charter aims to inspire the peaceful evolution of governance frameworks and economic systems so that the protection of life, the earth, and human dignity prevails over all other considerations. So then there's the long version. Well, I mean, it's not here, but I mean, I guess it's like available, I guess, somewhere. And then this is the people that have been working on it, the drafting committee. And so we have Natalie's name here, Natalie Kessler.
And we were involved in that, right?
Yes, as you might recall, it was during this summer, no, not this summer, I mean last year's summer, I guess around, maybe Angel, you can correct me if you remind differently. We participated in a couple of Zooms that she organized while she was in New York at the UN, actually. She participated because she wanted to bring this charter to the United Nations so that they could take a look into it. She was very happy that actually from the office of the secretary, they told her that it was a very nice initiative and to continue pursuing it. And she made a hybrid, talking about hybrid, how acceptance of hybrid word starts, like an online and at the same time in-person meeting. So we participated in a couple of them. Actually, if you recall, that's when there was an African, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the country, but she was a lady, a life giver from so-called Africa, and she related as to how she intervened in a matrilineal way to bring peace into a conflict in her country, if you recall that. So it was great to have that exchange because we heard from somebody that is still applying matrilinearity in her country, that it still works and that authority is recognized by the men there. So yeah.
And that's where we also, there was a priest or something that was there. He was from some Asian country, right?
Yeah, that was the second session. The first session was with this life giver, and the second session was that with, because you know how they work in the United Nations, they like to have something that's called like interfaith. So apparently all of the religions can come and have their word on it. So Natalie was under that. So yeah, this guy started talking, I don't know if it was Christian or Catholic or whatever, but yeah, I remember you addressed that and he didn't like it.
Yeah, because you can't have anybody connected to any religion trying to create any kind of initiative like this. Because like I said there, is that you can talk to somebody who's in a religion and they can tell you, yeah, I agree with this, but it's a lie. It's never true because they got to go back to whatever their religion identifies, whatever their religion is going to say, the head of their religion. So you can't have anyone from any religion involved in any kind of political thing on any level, anywhere, because they all got, as you see, a different agenda than regular humans. As you see right now, all regular humans, all normal people on the earth are all dragged into the current what do they call it? Holy war. So you can't have any religious people involved in anything. And that goes, like I said, on one end of the spectrum, you got religious people. On the other end of the spectrum, you got billionaires, military. So you can't have either of those. It could only be normal people who could be involved in the creation of such things. So then if you can share the document that we sent, and then you'll see the explanation of that.
And just so you know, because I don't think that you saw it, I just sent it a while ago. She replied to this, so I'll share her reply as well. Let me just get the document. So it's a letterhead document. It was made 2 days ago. So it's in response to Peace Charter document. This document talking about peace without identifying and recognizing the structures of great peace that have been functioning for thousands of years in Turtle Island before the colonial institutions illegally de facto themselves here, against these structures for their depth and development. This said document does not identify the European colonial system continue to attempt to destroy the native systems of peace through its shadow government war machine. This said document does not identify that the system that threatens the entire planet in every point identified within is in fact the colonial interpretation of democracy, which is the current model that every colonial country and their outposts have subjugated their citizens under. This said document does not identify that the collective of colonial countries and their outposts have created the military-industrial complex war machine that has enslaved the entire world's population into toiling for its planet-consuming war economic systems. This said document does not establish that we must first identify and address the process of how the entirety of humanity has been enslaved into destroying our own historically peaceful systems to become the planet killers of democracy. All of colonization, historical corruptions must be addressed for humanity to factualize what happened to us, so that we can evolve properly and not remain to be suicidal abomination of life itself. We must commit to engage in the creation of a tribunal of humans that is willing to address in an open discussion all of these things in a corrective fashion first, in order for humanity to develop a proper approach to peace. Otherwise, it will be the equivalent of being under a system of murder and saying we are a system of peace. To be peace, we must first undo our perversions of murder and war. We should create a weekly or bi-weekly or a monthly discussion panel in a live social media event entitled World Peace Initiative to unite our nations. We will be more than happy to participate under these provisions and would be honored to be the first to sign on to such an initiative. It's gonna go.
So you said that she responded to that?
Yeah, I am just because there's a couple of responses. Okay, so I'm gonna share my email. So first she says, the problem for us to understand better what is the great piece of law. Could you make a statement too on that main point? Because all of this is because she's having another meeting this Friday. So the Longhouse, of course, is invited. So she wanted to know first if we could be signatories to this peace charter, and that's how this whole process of back and forth started. So then she answered this again, like a part of reflection. I guess she's thinking in her head, you know. This event offers a collective reflection on an economy of peace based on Article 109 of the UN Charter and the emergence of universal laws grounded in shared human wisdom. It explores the principles of nonviolence, the inalienable right to life, the question of usury, and respect for nature as foundations for a more just world order. Through interdisciplinary dialogues, the event invites states, institutions, civil societies, and citizens to rethink legal, economic, and ethical frameworks in order to prevent conflicts, reduce structural violence, and build lasting peace for the benefit of humanity and future generations. And then she says, I have read your extremely interesting letter and thank you for your consideration. As the first nation to join our quest, how can we establish an agreement to unite the other First Nations around a common process? We would be very happy to begin a regular webinar, frequency to be determined together on the reflection process, but we would still need a framework document outlining everyone's agreement on this process. Does the reflection process on the Charter of Peace pose a concern for you? Would you prefer to initiate a reflection process solely on world peace? We must start with something to build upon, even if we can later move towards a world constitution.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I did see that. Well, we did respond to that, right?
No, this was sent after we responded to the other one, so that's why I'm saying most likely you didn't see this one because I just sent it a while ago.
I seen that. There's another response. Check your email. I sent it to you to send to her.
Well, that's the last thing, Stuart.
I responded to that. I seen that.
Oh,
I'll show you. I'll check my email right now.
no, no,
I know that
you're right. Hang on. Blah, 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 blah. So what is the last one that she sent then?
Well, you got to read the response that I sent to that so that we stay in the proper conversation.
Okay, well, I'm starting from this document. That is the last one. So she says, I didn't create the link yet. Please, we will have only 2 hours for the room from 6:30 to 8:30 and more than 10 speakers. So time will be limited to 5 until 10 minutes for one speaker or team, 10 minutes for you. Then I say oh, that's exactly what you told me to send her. This, I copied, pasted it from your response. I said, thank you kindly for this. We will await for the link and your cue for our participation. We are very pleased that you like the potential of this interaction. We will discuss this tonight during our weekly Zoom session with the Turo Wampum Working Group, and we will get back to you with a foundational starting point to address your queries.
Okay, so this is where we're at now. Okay, so the question is, do we have an issue with the UN? I forget exactly how she said it, but with the UN, whatever charter or section or law within the UN, yes, we do have a problem with that. Because the United Nations is a conglomeration of colonial states. So a conglomeration of colonial states, like I said, it's a group of murderers. They can't just say, we're people of peace and let's start developing peace. No, they must address their colonial corruptions. So our issue with the UN charter or whatever number or law or whatever she gives reference to, our issue is with that it is still a colonial construct that isn't coming from a proper human representation. So we have to create this, like I said, the foundational starting point of what we present. We got to do this by Friday.
Okay, so this is the very last response. Now I got these things in order. So she says, that is very exciting as it is the basis of the strategy for compete with the United Nations. Uniting at least 100 First Nations and 100 realms of kingdoms in Africa or worldwide or other countries not acknowledged yet by the UN. Then we can unite first for launching a process of brainstorming about a peace world through a peace charter, which could evolve after into a constitution or global third organization. The Peace Charter initiative is just a first stone to make the great law of peace happen, updated in a new world. I will try to make you the surprise to connect you with other First Nations as soon as possible. Kind regards.
Yeah, there's a big problem with the United Nations, as you probably know, that there's been Native people participating in the United Nations to create what they call the UNDRIP, the United Nations
Rights of Indigenous People.
Declaration, whatever it is. So the UNDRIP was made by natives, supposedly, who all participate in the white man system. As you know, there's somebody from here in Ganawage, Kenneth Deere, who has been participating in the United Nations for years, decades, but yet never any kind of mention of two-row wampum or Great Law of Peace. So this is the number one issues that we have with the United Nations, is that they only work with colonially created entities. They do not recognize or work with original entities, only false creations of colonial imposition. So you can't have any kind of foundation work starting from there. So in the next 2 days, well, really before that, by tomorrow night, we got to have a proper document created that can be the foundational work for that people, original peoples from around the world can see, and that from all peoples around the world who want peace, who want freedom, who don't want war, that they'll have a proper starting point, you know, that they ain't going to be running in the wrong race. It's interesting that she even identifies competing with the United Nations. You know, so there's already a mindset there that is acknowledging that the United Nations just ain't cutting it. They ain't doing nothing. They're a lie. They're a false institution that's put there by all colonial states to make themselves feel good about themselves and to be able to brainwash all original peoples around the world to thinking, go to the United Nations and you'll have your voice heard. You won't have your voice heard. If you do get there and have your voice heard, it'll only be something to assimilate you into it. Just as Kenneth Deere from here in Ganawagi, you know, in the first place, somebody who doesn't have a clan of our nation to go somewhere else and to pretend like they're talking on international levels. Come on, these are a bunch of jokers. So yeah, tomorrow we should, I don't know what, if you're available tomorrow, but we should work on that document at some point tomorrow.
Most likely in the afternoon, early evening, somewhere like that, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if there's something else I got tomorrow. It's hard, you know, with me, like to remember my scheduling because it changes by the second, you know, like I could say, yeah, we're gonna do this tomorrow, but then when we get there, there's something more important and that thing's gonna take a back burner. I don't care if it was promised to somebody or whatever, you know, so but right now in the world, this is the pushback. This thing is the pushback. It's a consciousness that is rising collectively around the earth by people who are not just a bunch of compliant robots, you know. So it's people from around the world who are seeing and who are aware of that we've lost our track of humanity. As humanity, we've gone off of our track. So it's very important that the Great Law of Peace be the foundations from which everybody from around the world who is waking up in this way, that the Great Law of Peace is the foundation. Because on this earth, the only people to have pulled their heads out of their own rear ends of the dark ages of war and to advance into matrilineal is the original peoples of Turtle Island. And now the only ones that are still holding on to that original instruction is us. And as you see, like what was clearly identified all the way through this evening, that everybody within the foundation of the Great Law of Peace, they've all become something else. They're all Christian, handsome Lake Hautenosaunees now. None of them know the Great Law of Peace any longer. So none of them can talk about the two-row wampum because they all think the two-row wampum is a thing that's plain and simple that says 2 rows and you stay in your boat and we're in our canoe. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that at all. It identifies Great Law of Peace and how Great Law of Peace subdues corruption, absorbs those that are corrupted, meaning the cancer. We absorb the cancer. We don't kill it. We absorb it and we purify it back into becoming a proper human cell. So in this sense, in this way, truly what we are doing, we are fighting against what we just identified about what's happening to Mars, what's happening to Earth, the cancer that's spreading throughout the body of Sky Woman herself. We are the only ones consciously fighting against that. And that means to be fighting on all the levels that we identified. Tonight is a full, comprehensive addressal of it, of from the micro to the macro, from the macro to the micro and back. Okay, so tomorrow then we'll just keep in touch via email. If there's anybody that wants to assist in this, then if you can contact us, and we'll see if we can incorporate it, because we don't want just a bunch of minds that don't know what we're talking about, who think they got good ideas. We're not looking for that. We don't care about opinions. We are looking for law, just law, not your opinion. Okay, so tomorrow we'll keep in touch, and we'll get it going from there. Anything else on this issue?
No,
Does anybody want to address this? Anybody find anything of interest? Did anything stuck out and you wanted to address it? If not, we're going to move on. Okay, let's move on. What are we moving on to? Is there anything else that anybody? Okay. Your dream about Elsa, right?
yeah, yeah. So I actually wrote it down, so I have it here. So I am in a place with people, and it's like kind of like either we're gonna give a class or we are ending a class. So it's like either people are getting there or they are leaving. It's not clear in my dream. And I see mostly men. So all of a sudden I see Elsa, and she's to my right. Like I'm going like straight going walking, and she's just there when I'm leaving the place. And I'm like looking at her, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Elsa, it's been so long. Like, how have you been? I'm looking at her, and she looks so beautiful. And look, and telling her, you look so good. And then she just replies to me, with that face that she used to have when something didn't please her. And she was like, ah, well, not that good. So that's all I recall. In my dream, then there's other stuff about like, I think we are passing that place where I was talking to Elsa, and then there's another life giver there, and we are asking to a guy some information, and then this guy comes with a cake to give it to her, and me, I'm telling this lady, okay, well, this guy has a crush on you. So it's like really not related, like it's like for me, it's like noise that is there. But an interesting thing of the dream, because sometimes it's different dreams in a dream, is that at the end, I'm walking with my parents. My mom is to my left, and she's really up to the front, like she's leading us. And I'm in the back with my dad. And we are leaving the UQAM, and they open to us a door that is not functioning, that nobody can come in and out. But they open that room for us, I mean that door for us, and then we leave, we walk away. So that's pretty much it. And then there's another part in which I'm relating this dream to somebody and my grandmother is watching. Like I just see there my grandmother is watching. So that's it.
Okay, when you say your grandmother, is this your mother's mother?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we know what that is, what that's connected to. Okay, right from the start, for Elsa to be on your right, this is what I pointed out when you just sent me the condensed version, that Elsa was never on your right. She was always on your left. So there is like a what's the word here? A trickery? I can't think of the proper word. Something that's imposed, a trickery imposed and confirmed in her face of when you ask her, how's she doing? And like, not so good. Like it's not really necessarily her. But first, in this meeting, you said there's a bunch of guys, right?
Majority that I remember is guys, yeah.
Okay, now in that meeting, in the first instance, before you see Elsa, where you don't know if they're like if we're waiting for them or if they left or whatever, what kind of meeting? Where was it? Was it at a school? Was it in just a place of a meeting? What age group? What types of people?
It could be like a like a school, yeah. And it would be more university or something like that because it's like young, but young adults. There's no children.
Okay, well, we can pretty much kind of align it with the end of your dream or the other part of your dream that's identifying at UQAM. And this is because of recently that we've had interaction with UQAM, where in the past it wasn't happening. It was kind of backdoorish in the past. And we know that's because of that asshole. What was his name? That guy from Mexico?
Gustavo.
Gustavo, what was his last name?
Ay.
Gustavo. He was in UQAM, he was a drunk, and he wasn't even native, but he was sitting in the native, what is it in UQAM? Native,
It's a native circle. I don't remember the name. First Nations circle.
yeah. And he wasn't even a native. He was just a guy from Mexico. And we were scheduled to be in UQAM to give a moon teachings, and this asshole actually said to prevent us from going into UQAM and doing this, said that he doesn't know if this is actually Mohawk knowledge. Imagine, I'm going in there to teach our knowledge, and he says he doesn't know if it's Mohawk knowledge. And who the hell would he know? What would he know anyways? And if you're receiving of any kind of teachings, you're not going to know what that knowledge is, whose it is, because you've never heard it before. So anyways, it's because of that asshole Gustavo that we weren't able to continue into UQAM, but we know it's because Gustavo was actually working with infiltrators in this house. The names that I mentioned earlier, 2 women. I won't mention their names again, but you know, I mentioned 2 women's names earlier who have infiltrated into this house, who we got rid of from this house. So it was prevented. So that means that they're in UQAM, that then the native that they get there is a fake native, is a false native. So it is in the meetings, then it's a false knowledge than the people want. So it's a shadow thing, like a shadow government. It's a shadow thing that is fighting to keep out the true thing. Okay, so but it's also centered around Elsa and the fact that later on somebody brings a cake to Elsa, then to me this is obvious what it is. Now,
Oh, but it was not to Elsa. The cake was not to Elsa. It's like a different scene in the dream. That's why I'm saying there's different sequences in the same dream. Elsa is just that image. I don't see her anymore in my dream. Then I'm with another life giver, and we are like in a bar talking to this guy, but not like in a bar, but like in a counter, more like a counter, information counter. So we need some information from this guy. So I'm asking him, like, I don't know, a contact number or something for him to confirm the information. And then when he comes back, he comes with this cake for this life giver. And that's when I'm telling her, oh, this guy has a crush on you, clearly, you know, like, why would he bring you a cake? So it's complete.
Which life giver?
A random life giver that I don't even know who she is, but we were there together, apparently.
Okay, well, to me, still, this is clear. It's about Elsa because of previous of Elsa saying that she's not doing so well. Not saying that, but you see it in her expression. So there's some kind of shadow something happening there. So within the shadow, it would be something false overtaking what is supposed to be there. So just think of this. The main points are Elsa and a birthday cake. So don't answer this, but this is what it's about. It's about her year thing. Now I know we're almost there. So there, it's on that level that there's something unsettling there with her, something unsettled, unfinished business or something there, you know, that it's like pushing through the confusion of information there to focus on this birthday cake. And again, the year thing with her. So, but the general information about this back door or door that doesn't open to other people, but they open it for us, and we're in UQAM, then it is, as you know, that the interaction that we had with UQAM just a month ago or 2 months ago now, through Mary Doe. Okay, when we had Robbie and Yolitli Kukli there, this was breakthrough. They've never seen anything like this. There's never been anything like that the students were exposed to. And the fact that they really didn't know that this is what was coming, so there wasn't really like a proper audience for it, because again, they really didn't know what was happening, what to expect. So, but as you've seen, that class, we were scheduled to be there. The class only lasted an hour or 2 hours? No,
Three?
not how long we were there. I'm not asking that. How long does that class last?
3 hours.
Scheduled. It's scheduled for 3 hours? So they're always there for 3 hours?
Yeah, but we
Okay.
stayed there like 4.
Okay, and this is what I'm identifying, that it's scheduled for a certain amount of time, but we stayed there far longer, even beyond what UQAM itself is staying open for. And everybody, the majority stayed there. Some people had to leave, and they left because, and each one was apologetic. They had to leave, sorry for whatever, no, sorry, but I gotta go type of thing. They would have stayed, like I said, if they would have known the full knowledge of what was going to unfold. So now that they know, like the icebreaker, no, we got something coming down the pipe there, and as time advances, we're at the center of everything. And so those doors that are closed normally, that nobody can get through, in other things, you're going to see that just like what we've seen all along, only we can get through certain doors that other people can't. So this is going to happen. You're probably going to receive a notification from UQAM.
I did actually. Yeah, sorry, I gotta jump in because that's the extra information that I have. I checked my emails in the morning, and I had an email from UQAM, but it was about because the deposit of honoraria that they give, went through my account. They said the email that they sent is something about like our employees need to check something that happened with Desjardins because blah, blah, blah. I didn't even actually pay attention to the email. I just found it very coincident that I had that dream and then I was receiving an email from UQAM. And then another information that I didn't have the time to tell you is that Javier Solis from Peru, the one that is organizing the solstice ceremony in Peru, I had exchanges with him, and he actually studied at UQAM. And he was the vice president of the First Nation circle at his time. But he told me the years, it's way before Gustavo's era, And then he studied the master's in another university that I don't recall in so-called Canada. And then in Ottawa, he made his PhD. So he has got his whole education in so-called Canada. So I was like, what? I couldn't. So it's that's the other complementary information all about UQAM, because if you recall, Elsa also studied at UQAM. She was doing her PhD at UQAM. So it's all that.
And it was through Elsa's interaction with us that got her to stop pursuing that education at UQAM. Okay, so what we see is coming together here is that when we're going to give this presentation in the summer at the solstice to what's happening in Peru, that it's going to happen at UQAM. We're going to do a class at UQAM, and it's going to be a live thing again, like what we've done with Robbie and with Yolitli Kukli. And it's probably going to be because of the springboard of what's happening in our court case. So it's all centered around one thing. So Elsa is going to be and is probably already an instrumental part in making this happen. I mean, all of this coming together and me just saying you're probably going to get contacted from them, and then you do. Well, that's what's going to happen. It will happen at UQAM. So that's what 4 months from now.
3, because the equinox is here at the corner.
Okay, so 3 months from now, that's where it's going to transpire. It's going to happen there. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait for another communication from them, because the fact that you got communication from UQAM on the bureaucratic level about the fund, not the funding, but the payment and that, on that level, that's a red flag within that system of that, hey, I got through there. I broke through their doors that were closed. How did I get through there? So then once that is a red flag inside, there's going to be some type of interaction between them with Mary Doe. And don't forget what Mary Doe said, that we should be teaching her class, you know. So it's happening. It's going to happen there. So maybe a little bit of fine tuning over here and a little fine tuning over there. We use that guy who was actually in UQAM then, in the native whatever, a little bit of input, his input there, and boom, it makes it happen. And we're there. And your dream unfolds right there. And it's
Yeah.
going to be most, and it is not necessarily, it'll probably be mostly women. But what in the dream about it being mostly guys is because, like we said, shadow, like a shadow government type of thing, because it's guys right now, the male dominance of guys that are screwing the world over and muffling the life giver's voice, you know, more than ever. If they were burning witches, burning women at the stake for being witches 500 years ago, 300 years ago, well, today you don't see them burning them, but they're doing much worse. It's much worse, because look at what they just done, the witchcraft of killing 100 and what was it, approximately 170 young girls. That's a public sacrifice of women, of life givers. And that's what the white man does. So yeah, this is yeah, your dream's gonna unfold that way. We're gonna watch it. We'll be walking in your dream by the solstice. Okay, anything else? Anybody? If not, no other questions, nothing, anything else that anybody wanted to present? If not, then we'll call it a night.
Alain was there earlier. He had to leave, so he's supposed to come back next week. He says hello.
Okay, but Alain did not have his hand up, right?
That's what I told him. Next time, raise your hand. That way, I'll have or we'll know you're in the order.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, so then we're just gonna. Somebody's got their hand up.
Yeah, Lucie just raised her hand. I didn't see it.
Okay, let's go.
It won't be long. I just return back what we talked about last on Saturday. And they say that they understand, but they want to do something. They want to, if there's something to change or something to change in their habit, they're willing to do it. And they will and they understand, because I say we cannot have people from religion, we cannot have people from politics. It's only human being that's talking together. So they say that it's not a workshop that they want to speak with you. They want to see you and maybe try to find, a way to be more together. So they are willing for it. So I say, okay, I will tell that. It's Luc who tell me that. And then I had a problem with my computer, and it was supposed to be Alain who is speaking to you. But then I get back my internet, so that's why I came back. But he was supposed to tell you something about this. But Alain, I was very happy because we have a meeting on Monday. 2 Monday doesn't work with him. I don't know. He wasn't feeling well. So this Monday it was fun because we were maybe 7, and they put the wampum belt before beginning the meeting. And I tell them that it touched me a lot because I was happy to see that, the wampum belt. So we did all the meeting with the wampum belt in the screen. So it was a good feeling, that they are willing to, get in. But it was with Alain, not ACCQ. ACCQ, it's like we work together, Alain and ACCQ. But I was very happy for that. So it's, there's, I don't know in English, ouverture. Is it?
Opening.
Opening?
Yeah.
There's, I think they want to work with you, They love how you manage things. But it's hard for people to say, oh, what I have to do. So I tell them, how to work with you, like let people talk, and then wait for somebody to say, okay, it's your turn, and everything like that. So I don't know. It's a beginning. I love to do bridge with people. This is what I'm habit to do, like make people, talk together. I don't know if it will work, but I would love that. So I'll finish. This is all I have to say.
Okay, we comprende. Of course, there was like everything. It's not that it's easy to read people. It's just easy to know how things progress. So we knew that the first step would lead to the second. So the second is already set and established, which is that yes, there will be a face-to-face meeting. So let's be looking at by the next full moon. By the next full moon, we'll be able to. No, I'm not saying it's going to happen at the full moon. I'm saying by the next, somewhere from here until the next full moon, it will happen that we will have a circle where we'll actually be face to face and have a circle. It'll be kind of informal, where it won't be so regimented, where it'll be somebody will be able to stumble over their words or stumble over what they don't know what to say. They gotta discover what they want to say, So it'll be on that level. It'll be an informal thing, an informal gathering, and we'll basically guide them into what we're doing on the same level of the international level, what we're doing with the people in the United Nations, and here from north to south in the corridor of truth, peace, power, and righteousness, as you see what is building now through the reconstitution of the eagle and the condor process that we've been now. How many ceremonies we've been in, Edith, now?
I think we had the 160th or 61.
Okay, so this is developed into what we're talking about, what's going to happen at the summer solstice. So this interaction, we got our pokers in many fires on every level, on local level, on international level, and on international levels within the original peoples, and they're gonna all merge at one time. But they just don't know it. Everybody just doesn't know this is going to happen yet. We know it's going to happen because that's what we're doing. So they may be part of the impetus to making what's going to happen at UQAM, like what we talked about a few minutes ago. This meeting, what will happen within by the next full moon, those people there will be the impetus to having this event happen at UQAM, because it'll be drawing in on every level, local, international, and international of original peoples. So it is a complete conversation that we're having with the earth, with the people of the earth. They just don't know it yet. They're not prepared for it, but it's the only thing that we are doing. We are not wasting our time on nonsense. So we're building a healthy cell back. We're fighting against the larger cancer that we talked about. And again, not that we're so great, we're the only ones doing it. And I say this to activate all the ones who are going to say, oh, you're so full of yourself. Yeah, if I'm so full of myself, we're the only ones doing it. Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't all these other people doing it? So what is going to start is a chain reaction. One healthy cell will create another healthy cell, because it's like an alien invasion of the earth, and that all the different countries don't know how to fight against it, but then one country somewhere learns how to take down an enemy alien ship. And that means then that the other countries can learn how to be healthy cells also. And we could expand this throughout on the larger body, from the micro to the macro, throughout the body of Sky Woman. We are working directly with her. She is working directly with us. We are all working on the same agenda. It's just that everybody's loose and broken up and they don't know where they are yet. We will pull them together and we'll put them in one energy field. Yeah. Okay, so in the next couple of weeks, or even before that, we'll let you know. It's probably going to be by the 20th. We'll let you know, because there's a lot of things happening right now. We got a lot of business going on. What you see here in the Zooms is just very lightly scratching the surface of all the business that we're involved in. So yeah, by the 20th, we'll give you a proposed date in which to suggest to them that we have this meeting, physical, face-to-face somewhere. Okay, so it's not that it's going to happen on the 20th. It'll happen somewhere from now to the 20th. We'll give you the proposed date. And then we just wait for communication back. All right, then. Very good. Anything else, anybody? If not, we're going to close up for the night. Oh, wow. This is the way to do business. Get business done. It's good to have a solid purpose in this world. Not to where you got a purpose for helping out this company and to make yourself rich or whatever, but to have a solid purpose, working for mama. Like here in Ganawagi, nobody's got that. They don't have it. You gotta be Ganasuwe Uwe to have it. Haudenosaunee has their heads up their rear end. Okay, we're gonna close up. I'll fix the sound, right? Yeah. Okay, the sound. Soundage Maximus. Sound for magicians. Pew. Pew. Man, I'll tell you, it's always hard to think of a song. You know what? A while ago, I had a bunch of songs in my head, and I was thinking, I'm going to sing one of these tonight. But then when we get here, it's always hard to remember songs. All right. Let's come up with something. We gotta resort back to woman's dance.